and it's I think it's important to know it's a little increase. It's still lower than it was early in the year, but typically consumer sentiment tends to align with consumer spending. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
And how does Utah compare to the national consumer sentiment right now?
We're definitely continuing the normal trend of being well above national consumer sentiment. And to me, that makes a lot of sense, just given our very strong economic performance that continues today.
All right. That is Kim C. Gardner, Policy Institute Chief Economist Phil Dean. Thank you so much for your time. KSL News Time is 12:19. Traffic and weather together. Brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Here again is Ricky Meese.
Right now, we're looking at a little bit of a quiet commute. We do have the one accident. It's northbound I-15 approaching Bangerter Highway in Draper. Everybody out of traffic on the left shoulder. Only a little bit of backup in the area, some slowing, but nothing major. So it's not going to cause you any kind of big delay. In fact, most of your valley freeways are seeing a nice and quiet drive. It's kind of gloomy in spots of the valley, but so far I'm not seeing any kind of wet roads. Our main secondaries also kind of quiet right now. We have had some road work affecting southbound traffic of 4th West, just south of 6 North in that right lane of travel. The Garden Restaurant is opening June 30th in Salt Lake City. Enjoy a fresh, healthy menu. Soon to be opening June 30th, Monday through Friday, 11 to 3. Fresh flavors, iconic location, The Garden Restaurant. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
The 7-day forecast starts off with temperatures seasonable for this time of year, around 81 degrees this afternoon with partly cloudy skies. We'll have the low 80s on Friday, warming into the upper 80s by Saturday, then low 90s take over from Sunday through the beginning of next week. While northern Utah's forecast looks rather dry, we still expect storms the next couple of days in central and southern Utah. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Devin Mashuli.
Right now, it's 72 degrees in St. George, and it's mostly cloudy and 72 degrees here in Salt Lake as well. The 7-day forecast, of course, brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. Coming up, we're going to tell you about a new ride at Disney World. KSL News Time, 12:21.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for autopay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver Card is at table 27 and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
When is the optimal time to file for Social Security? That could help you get every penny that is rightfully yours. Get the answer in a free report, your guide to filing for Social Security in 2025 and beyond. It's from Boss Retirement Solutions, who's helped tens of thousands of families get the most out of their benefits. If you've saved more than $200,000 and have not filed for Social Security, get your free report now by calling 801-251-1046. Timing, taxes, spousal benefits. This free report details the most critical things you must consider that could help you get the most income from your Social Security benefits today. Get this free report right now by calling 801-251-1046. That number again, 801-251-1046.
Boss Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the Social Security Administration.
Matthew.
Huh? Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I just need you to listen to me.
I know that a lot of times, Mom, it might not seem like I'm listening to you, but I am. I hear you. And what you say really does matter to me.
I mean, let's be honest. No kid likes rules, but I get why we have them. I hear you, and I know it's because you care.
All the talks we've had over the years,
including what you've told me about not using alcohol and other drugs, they stick with me. And believe it or not, they really do make a difference, especially at times that matter most.
Hey, want a drink?
No thanks, I'm good. So thank you, Dad, for talking and preparing me for what's ahead.
Thanks, Mom, for never giving up and always being my biggest fan.
Thank you for letting me know what you expect, so I can try to meet your expectations.
Thank you for talking.
For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Walt Disney World is finally releasing details about their latest attraction.
Where am I? Where are you? Shoot, you're in Radiator Springs, the cutest little town in Carburetor County.
It is a Cars-themed land called Piston Peak National Park. It will reportedly be a wilderness area filled with trees, mountains, waterfalls, rivers, and geysers. We're watching Utah's Money. Uber is trying to attract an older audience. The app is unveiling senior accounts. The typeface is bigger, there are fewer buttons, and easier to follow instructions. It is also expanding pay options, letting users pay for rides with Medicare Flex cards. Procter & Gamble is cutting 7,000 jobs. That's about 6% of its total workforce. It is part of a restructuring plan designed to curb the effects of tariffs. The company owns popular brands like Pampers, Febreze, Tide, and Dawn. Amazon is reportedly training humanoid robots to deliver packages. The Verge reports the company is working on an AI software that would enable the robots to do so. Part of the training involves an obstacle course and recognizing natural language commands. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up just a scant 18 points. That's well under 0.1%. S&P 500 and NASDAQ are both down about 0.1%. Pleasant Grove city officials say Cook Family Park is closed this week as construction crews finish up renovations. Officials say they are glad community members have been able to enjoy the park up to this point. The park will reopen on Saturday just in time for its grand opening celebration.
I'm Holly Richardson.
My name is Greg Skortis. Listen for the new Inside Sources.
One of the things that people don't realize about Utah politics, at the state legislative level, there's a lot of camaraderie and a lot of working together for the good of Utah. Inside Sources, weekdays from 9 to noon.
This is a show that a person could listen and learn something every day and say, you know what, I didn't know that this morning at 9, but I know it now. Inside Sources.
Weekdays from 9 to noon on KSL News Radio.
The Management Minute is a service of the MBA program in the John M. Huntsman School of Business at Utah State University. I'm Professor Scott Hammond. If you've lived more than a decade, you've seen organizations die, companies, nonprofits, even nations. We often think that in a turbulent world, stability is our safety net, but the opposite is true. When turbulence abounds, organizations that can adapt survive. It's worth saying that again. When turbulence abounds, organizations that can adapt survive. Having a death grip on the status quo, denying the need for change, and using history as a roadmap is the surest way to become obsolete. Whether at an individual or a corporate level, we should not be asking if we should change, but how can we change? Learn more about dealing with change in an MBA program from Utah State. Go to utahstatemba.com. That's utahstatemba.com. I'm Scott Hammond. Hope to see you in one of our classes.
If you talk and they will hear you.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy, so we show them how. And we tell them with honest conversations that let them know what we expect. Not just one time, but every chance we get. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. Kids not only need to know the dangers and how to avoid them, they need to hear it often from you. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be taken without a prescription and never shared with friends or family. It's dangerous and illegal. So talk with your kids and guide them through the challenges of growing up safe and healthy. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
So talk, they hear you. You can do it if you try.
If you're struggling with your mortgage, there's a free government program that offers expert one-on-one advice about your mortgage options. Call 1-888-995-HOPE or visit makinghomeaffordable.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Treasury, HUD, and the Ad Council.
KSL News Time 12:29. Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Ricky Meese, how's it going out there?
It's not too bad out there. Most of the Valley freeways are seeing a very good drive. Our only problem is a small accident in Draper. UHP has arrived on the scene. This is northbound I-15 near Bangor Highway, but everybody out of traffic over to the left shoulder. A little bit of curiosity slowing, but not enough to cause you any kind of real delay. Don't miss the 91st Annual Ute Stampede Rodeo with Extreme Bulls on July 9th through 12th. Athletes and explosive entertainment combined with music, food, and multiple days of family fun. Visit UteStampedeRodeo.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Afternoon highs today are going to be a little bit warmer compared to what you felt yesterday and closer to normal for this time of year in the low 80s. We'll have partly cloudy skies, clouds kind of developing as the day goes on, and we'll have scattered showers and storms again in southern Utah, but spreading north into central Utah and maybe up into the Uinta Basin. We'll continue to warm up and dry out as we head into the weekend. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Dev Mashuli.
You're listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos
on KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Good afternoon. KSL News Time is 12:30. I'm Becky Bruce sitting in for Maria Shilaos today. KSL's top story this hour, multiple pride flags were stolen from a Salt Lake City church.
It is quite jarring.
But for First Baptist Church, it's nothing new.
Pastor Curtis Price says it happens every year. Banners get vandalized, flags get stolen, but that doesn't mean churchgoers are unaffected.
They're here because it's a safe space, and they're here experiencing healing and experiencing good things, and it's jarring for them to know that the flags were there and someone deliberately came on the property, took them off.
Price describes it as upsetting but not shocking. The church did file a police report for tracking purposes, but doesn't expect any justice. The flags were quickly replaced by Project Rainbow and are now back up. Alexandria Bonilla, KSL News Radio.
University officials are closely watching potential changes to Pell Grant programs, especially at places like Utah State, where 1 in 4 students receives a grant.
A recent study from the Kim C. Gardner Institute shows that 25.7% of students at USU receive Pell Grants. Vice President of Strategic Enrollment, Katie Jo North, says they are now watching a current bill that could change everything nationally. One part of the bill proposes raising the amount of credits required to get a grant from 12 to 15.
Balancing work and school has always been a challenge for our students, and the more they work, the less school they can do. And so sometimes students are working full-time and going to school part-time, or vice versa.
North says they also have many students who are working across the state as part of their land grant mission. They worry this could leave students with less time to focus on school, or that they could choose to refuse the grants. The bill would also eliminate Pell Grant eligibility for students enrolled less than half-time, potentially affecting up to 1/3 of grant recipients nationally. The bill has not yet been passed in the U.S. Senate. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
A Utah attorney has been sanctioned after the State Court of Appeals found he cited cases that artificial intelligence made up. During the hearing, an attorney representing Bednar said a clerk had created the document, and while the attorney does take responsibility, he didn't know ChatGPT was being used until the opposing party pointed it out. Appeal court judges said it is his responsibility to make sure all information is vetted.
While AI is certainly a tool that people appear to be using successfully, here it obviously was unsuccessful, and there apparently wasn't an effort made to double check it. And that's really the concern, I think.
Richard Bednar had filed a petition for one of his clients. Attorneys on the other side of the case reviewed the petition and found several cases had been cited that did not exist or were not relevant. Police have taken a 16-year-old boy in custody. They are accusing him of shooting his uncle in Riverton.
Police are saying this happened after the boy and his 35-year-old uncle got into an argument at a home on Homestead Lane just off of 134th South. Riverton police spokesperson Josh Lee tells me the argument moved to the front lawn around 6:30. Sometime after that, they alleged the boy pulled out a handgun, shot his uncle 3 times, and took off.
Shortly thereafter, we coordinated with Harriman, South Jordan, and Draper officers and quickly found the suspect in Harriman.
Lee says they took the boy into custody. His uncle was taken to the hospital with serious injuries, but he is expected to survive. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
KSL's top national stories. President Vladimir Putin told reporters today that he, quote, would have preferred to hear a strong condemnation of Ukraine's drone attack on Russian military sites during his call with President Trump. Here's President Trump talking about Ukraine during his meeting with the German chancellor in the Oval Office.
Sometimes, and this is me speaking maybe in a negative sense, but sometimes you see two young children fighting like crazy. They hate each other and they're fighting in a park. And you try and pull them apart. They don't want to be pulled. Sometimes you're better off letting them fight for a while and then pulling them apart.
During Mr. Trump's meeting with the German chancellor, they discussed defense spending and trade. President Trump is banning people from countries his administration deems dangerous from coming to America. The ban includes nationals from Afghanistan, Haiti, and Yemen. The president's first travel ban was issued during his last administration and banned travel from 7 predominantly Muslim countries. The U.S. Supreme Court unanimously blocked the $10 billion lawsuit Mexico filed against top U.S. firearm manufacturers.
This was an aggressive attempt by Mexico, aided in some respects by opponents of the gun industry, to hold the gun industry responsible for the consequences downstream, the so-called Iron River, downstream consequences against those gun manufacturers. I think what it means going forward in terms of precedent is that, as is true of many aspects of American lawsuits against American firearms industry, the mountain is very, very tall.
That's Hofstra University constitutional law expert James Sample. First look traffic. Here's Ricky Meese.
Just one accident. It's northbound I-15 near Bangor Highway and Draper. All vehicles are out of traffic on the shoulder. Traffic a little busy in the area, but no major delays. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL News Time 12:35.
This show's going to be different.
The new Inside Sources.
We have the desire to help you understand the issues that are impacting you on your family level. Hi, I'm Holly Richardson.
My name is Greg Skordas.
Join Inside Sources starting next Monday, 9 to noon.
On KSL News Radio.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. For years now, I've been telling you about Connecticut soft water systems that use 2/3 less salt than the others. But I've never told you exactly how they do that. Well, there are several ways, so consider this as part 1 in a series. Most of the softeners out there use a finicky, hard-to-adjust computer to guesstimate when to cycle, and it errs on the side of cycling too often, which means it'll burn through way too much salt way too soon. Connecticut is different. It has an all-mechanical system that measures the water precisely. No computer, no guesstimating, so it cycles only when needed. The result? Connecticut delivers perfectly soft water 24/7 using minimal salt. So why not save your lower back from carrying the 3 bags of salt when all you need is 1? Call Northern Utah's authorized Connecticut dealer, Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake. Call them now, 801-576-8600, or log on to softwaterutah.com and tell them Doug sent you.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto-pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it'd go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
Teens can get up to $200 with a Teen Learn and Earn account. Plus, continue earning rewards as they master the essentials of finance. More at cypresscu.com/teen.
Salt Lake City's First Baptist Church says multiple pride flags have been stolen from their church, and it's not the first time that's happened. KSL News Time is 12:38. In case you're just tuning in, we got word there was a large evacuation in place at the Salt Lake County Metro Jail this morning because of a fire. Unified Fire Authority says 200 people had to be evacuated after that fire started in a heating and air conditioning unit. Officials say bookings have been put on hold and inmates won't be let back in until it's safe for them to do so. Firefighters think charging batteries may be the cause of a fire that destroyed a home in West Valley last night.
The cause right now is officially under investigation, but there's some suspicion that it was caused by lithium-ion batteries. The homeowner stated that the area that we think the fire started, there was a lot of batteries charging.
Fire Battalion Chief Nick Dodge tells KSL TV those batteries were in laptops, toys, and other devices. The family had just returned to the house when they opened the garage door, heard the fire alarms going off, and then saw the smoke. KSL News Time, 12:39. Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Once again, here's Ricky Meese.
It's been pretty quiet on your noontime drive on the Valley freeways and our main secondaries, even the downtown city streets. You do have a right lane blocked with roadwork southbound 4th West just after 6 North. And for those traveling in Draper, a small accident out of traffic on the shoulder northbound I-15 near Bangerter Highway. Again, no real delays from that accident. No matter the weather, your feet can feel fantastic. Find the Good Feet store location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Temperatures today will run a little bit warmer compared to yesterday. Noon will be in the low 70s, and then afternoon highs will be in the low 80s. We will also see increasing cloud coverage. We'll call it partly cloudy on the day. High pressure, though, is going to build in quickly, and that will allow us to be in the low 80s with more sun tomorrow, and then upper 80s, low 90s for the weekend. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Devin Mashuli.
Right now, you've got mostly cloudy skies in Salt Lake City, fair skies in Provo, 76 degrees, 74 and sunny in St. George. Coming up on Midday, for the second year in a row, the NHL is providing an American Sign Language broadcast for the Stanley Cup Finals. We'll speak with the Division of Services for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing on how this is going to impact the community. That's coming up, streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's Jeff Jr. from Trajan Wealth, and I've got something important to talk to you about, your 401k. If you have changed jobs, there are 2 very important considerations. You don't want to leave your 401k behind, and you don't want to roll it over into your new company plan without consulting Trajan Wealth first. 401ks will often have limited investments or age-based options. Since companies have to make choices to suit all employees, they may not be suited to you, which could cost you fees and money. When you roll over your 401k into an IRA, you not only keep your money growing tax deferred, but you also gain access to a world of investment options specifically designed for you. Trajan Wealth and our fiduciary advisors have helped thousands, and we can do the same for you. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. 801-899-7600.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. Optima Tax Relief. Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hi, it's Tori DeVito. In every family, small conversations can make a big impact. I grew up on tour with my parents. Kind of different, but we bonded over music just like other families do over sports, camping, or other interests. And we talked. Little everyday conversations from silly to serious that built a foundation over time. Honest conversations, like when my dad shared his experiences as an alcoholic. Your honesty about that part of your life gave me a sense of integrity that I wanted to uphold in my own life. And I was so grateful that you and Mom had become these sober, stable people who were always there for me.
I wanted you to know from someone who's been in recovery more than 30 years now that hard work is what creates success, not alcohol or other drugs, whether it's music or anything else. I said it a lot, and I'm glad you took it to heart.
Talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Hi, this is Christina Ricci with RAIN. Every 2 minutes, another American is sexually assaulted. If you or someone you know has been sexually assaulted, you are not alone. Help is just a call or click away through the National Sexual Assault Hotline. Please call 1-800-656-HOPE, that's HOPE, or visit rain.org, that's RAINN.org.
Brought to you by RAIN and this station.
KSL News Time is 12:45. The three things you need to know this hour first.
Salt Lake City's First Baptist Church says their pride flags were stolen over the weekend, and it's far from the first time. I'm KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla.
Second, university officials are closely watching federal funding decisions, including sections that could affect local Pell Grant recipients. And third, traffic and weather together.
Just the one accident. It's northbound on I-15 in Draper near Bangerter Highway. You'll see all the vehicles out of traffic over to the left shoulder. We're not seeing any delays on any of your Valley freeways. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Adding more clouds in the sky today and scattered showers and storms spread from southern Utah to central. I'm Deb Mashuli.
It's 75 degrees now at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Here are KSL's top national stories.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. President Trump voiced disappointment in Elon Musk's opposition to the budget bill now being debated in the Senate. Musk taking to social media asking supporters to push lawmakers to kill the bill. ABC's Jay O'Brien has more on the fallout.
He went on to say that perhaps Elon Musk misses the White House, and he seemed to frame Elon Musk's opposition to the quote-unquote one big beautiful bill, the vehicle for Donald Trump's entire domestic agenda, is because Trump says that Musk doesn't like the fact that the bill strips out EV tax credits and solar tax credits, the former of which would have potentially benefited Tesla.
In New York, the judge overseeing the sex trafficking trial of Sean Diddy Combs issuing a warning today, saying the music mogul was gesturing to members of the jury. The judge did not rule out removing Combs from his own trial if he does it again. Stocks are mixed in trading today over tariff uncertainty. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
Time for the KSL In-Depth. This requires a little bit of setup, so let me explain. For the second year in a row, the NHL is providing the Stanley Cup Finals with an American Sign Language broadcast option. And I've got some guests in studio. You'll be able to hear interpreter Sam Jackson, but I'm actually talking to somebody you'll be able to see on camera if you're on our website or on our app. The Division of Services for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing Director, Lance Pickett, is with me. Lance, what does having this broadcast option mean for the deaf community?
I think it's amazing. I mean, if you think about what sports mean to people all over, it's really a whole involvement of different things with our sporting events. And it's very a high emotional aspect. It's highs and lows to see all the types of experiences that the deaf community can now be a part of in our own language. So we're really excited to see it.
I'm excited too. I have hearing aids, so I really appreciate closed captioning. And I know there are plenty of people I know who love hockey and use American Sign Language on a regular basis. How do people feel knowing they can now watch that in their own words?
I think that everyone is feeling validated by this, to know that deafness is on a spectrum. We have people who speak who are deaf, we have people who sign, and everyone in between. It's based on different things like hearing aids, cochlear implants, sign language. There's lots of different factors that we see, but these commentators, these people won't have to rely on captioning. They can see everything in their own language as well as what's going on without needing to split their attention to read the captions instead of missing what's happening on the ice. So we're able to see directly from these commentators the tones, the facial expressions, the comedy, what's serious, without missing anything and really able to see it for the first time. So that's exciting for our language.
Yeah, and the closed captioning does come with a flaw, of course, that it's not in real time. So this will be in real time. That's exciting. Are there other sports we're going to expect to see picking up more American Sign Language options?
That's the hope. So far, this is really the only of its kind. We've had short events that are kind of one-off, where we're hoping to get more with the NFL, the NBA, who have brought children to sign small portions, but it's only a tiny bit of the sporting experience with those one-off events. So this is the high bar that we're seeing from the NHL, that they're making a place for us to belong and feel seen, and saying that sports are for me as well. So that's really great.
Do you
to
have
see that high standard of sports that hopefully more will follow too.
Sorry about that. Do you have a favorite team?
Yes. Utah Jazz is my favorite sporting team. In the NHL, I have not watched much, so I'm going to start.
All right. Well, the Utah Mammoth next year, I'm just saying, have to bring up their game, especially since we'll have this option.
Exactly, and we're all looking forward to it.
Thank you so much. So you've been hearing from Sam Jackson, who's interpreting here for the Division of Services for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing Director, Lance Pickett. Thank you so much for coming into studio with me.
Thank you.
KSL News Time, 1250. Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Here's Ricky Meese.
Roadwork causing some backups in both directions, Mountain View corridor at that traffic light at the intersection of 3500 South. Anticipate some backups. It's a spot where we always have backups. So again, seeing it today. If you're headed northbound on I-15, we do have a small accident in Draper near Bangerter Highway, but it is out of traffic, not causing any problems. Garden City, Utah, in beautiful Bear Lake, presents Little Texas on July 5th at Garden City Heritage Park. Games, live music, and a fireworks show, all free. Visit bearlake.org for details. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
The 70 forecast starts off on a seasonable note with afternoon highs this Thursday afternoon in the low 80s with partly cloudy skies. We'll have more sunshine tomorrow with highs just a few degrees warmer, around 83. Then high pressure takes over for the weekend and we jump to the upper 80s Saturday to the low 90s Sunday, and the low 90s look to stick around through the beginning of next week. And while afternoon high temperatures are climbing, so are morning lows, looking like the low to mid 60s. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Devin Mashuli.
Right now, it is mostly cloudy, 74 degrees in Salt Lake City, 74 and sunny in St. George. The 7-day forecast brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. KSL News Time, 12:51.
I am down 50 pounds in 11 weeks, and this program works. The pounds melt off. It's amazing.
I let go of 50 pounds. It felt unreal. I was so proud of myself.
Get in the best shape of your life with Soda Weight Loss.
Just 3 weeks in, and pounds are dropping off very quickly. I am down 26 pounds in 3 weeks.
Summer is right around the corner.
Your summer body starts right here because Soda's summer savings are on.
Every single day, Soda Weight Loss is helping people let go of the weight without drugs, without hunger, and the weight stays off.
I tried other things, came to soda, just amazing.
I started on soda 8 months ago, and I have released 80 pounds now.
Summer savings, stunning results, only at Soda Weight Loss. Get started now at sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com.
Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
The Utah RV Palooza is ready for another round of RV savings. But this time, we're hooking you up, South Salt Lake County. June 5th through the 7th, we're bringing our packed inventory of new and used RVs to you on Harriman Main Street, just south of Winco. Shop all the best RV brands fit for any budget and all at show pricing. You'll find payments starting under $139 per month on approved credit on select new RVs and clearance pricing on all remaining new 2024s while they last. You'll also get 90-day days of all play and no pay OAC. Start shopping the best deals now at UtahRVPalooza.com. And it's the only show featuring the full lineup from Wayfinder RV, available exclusively through Bish's. Plus, every RV purchase receives a free 1-year RV Fix membership, your fast track to RV service repairs. All this plus free admission to the Utah RV Palooza, June 5th through the 7th on Harriman Main Street, just south of Winco. See you in Harriman.
Based on approved credit, 20% down, 8.99% APR for 180 months. Stock number 89922. Subject to prior sale. See dealer for details. Deal number 822B426B.
Join KSL and the Greenhouse Show this Saturday at the Weber Basin Water Conservancy District's 2025 Spring Garden Fair. The fair takes place at Weber Basin Water's Learning Garden at 2837 East Highway 193 in Layton. There will be activities for the whole family to enjoy as you see the garden and learn how you can have beautiful, low-water landscaping in your yard. There's information about all types of plants, drip irrigation, and other water-related education. Weber Basin Water this Saturday from 8 to 2. Free hot dogs, chips, cotton candy, and drinks for the family. There will be landscape experts on hand to answer all your gardening, lawn, and landscaping questions. See vendors, education booths, and a bird show happening 4 times during the fair, and prize drawings for participating in garden activities. Visit weberbasin.gov for more details. The event is free. They'll feed you lunch and help you learn something at this year's Weber Basin Water Conservancy District's 2025 Spring Garden Event, 2837 East Highway 193. We'll see you in the garden.
Any Hour Services can make sure your AC keeps you cool this summer. Whether you need a tune-up, repair, or just a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
We're getting our first look at the new James Bond game, 007 First Light.
Tell me, what do you do, James?
Lately, headhunting.
It doesn't have an exact release date, but it is scheduled to come out next year. The game will be available on PlayStation, Xbox, PC, and Switch 2. Watching Utah's money, Costco is testing some new checkout lanes designed to be more efficient. Fox Business reports the company is trying to scan and go. It would allow shoppers to scan items as they shop and pay for them through the app. A worker would then scan the digital receipt at the door as AI scanners verify the items in the cart. Meat prices are still up this year. The Bureau of Labor Statistics says steak is up 7% year over year. Ground beef is up 10%, chicken's up 3%, and ham is up 4%. South Korean beauty brands are betting on U.S. buyers. Reuters reports multiple brands are in talks with major U.S. retailers to make their products more easily accessible. The country was the 3rd biggest cosmetics exporter in 2024. Your money at this moment, the Dow and S&P and NASDAQ all essentially flat right now. Dow up just 60 points. That is about 0.1%. S&P 500 down 3, which is less than 0.1%. And the NASDAQ down 41 points, or about 0.2%. Best Friends Animal Society is launching a new nationwide initiative to combat fake information about cats and help them get adopted. It's called Truth or Tales. Litter Robot is also working with the adoption agency to donate up to $10,000 to cats in shelters. Anyone can participate using the hashtag Feline Folklore Challenge.
Behold, 'tis I, Queen Trustworth, sentinel for seniors amongst the Knights of Scamelot, here to give thee warning. Scams and fraud are on the rise in Utah, and seniors are especially under siege. Be wary of unsolicited texts, phone calls, and salespeople asking for personal or financial information, and never send money to someone thou hast only met online. If thou hast doubts, talk to someone thou trusteth and get educated at scams.utah.gov.
The power of we believes in you. It advocates for you. It completes your circle. It makes sure you have the strongest circle possible. And with Intermountain Health in yours, you'll always have the care you need to live the healthiest life possible. That's the power of we, Intermountain Health.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370. 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
KSL Broadcast Group contests are open to participants 18 years of age and older that are residents of Utah, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest may not enter. Persons who have won in the last 30, 60, or 90 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available at kslnewsradio.com/contests.
KSL News Time, 12:59. Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Let's check in with Ricky Meese.
We still have just the one accident. Looks like a tow truck has arrived on the scene, so it will be cleared shortly. This is northbound I-15 approaching Bangerter Highway in Draper. Again, out of traffic on the shoulder. We are looking at good speeds up and down the I-15 corridor between Ogden and Provo. A delay-free drive on the rest of your Salt Lake County freeways. Water belongs in pipes, not in your yard or on your floor. Call Utah Utility Pro, your leak detection and repair specialist. Water, sewer, main, and gas lines. Utah Utility Pro, utahutilitypro.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Right now, mostly cloudy, 74.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
South Salt Lake police say a baby was rescued last night from extreme danger.
A woman was booked in jail after police say she left an infant in a hot car in South Salt Lake while she went into a plasma donation center.
The time is 1 o'clock on Thursday, June 5th. It's midday. I'm Becky Bruce, filling in today for Maria Shilaos. Coming up, we'll get the latest update in a live interview with South Salt Lake City Police. Also this hour,
we see changes in our wastewater data before they will show up in clinical case data.
What the state of Utah is doing to track potential measles outbreaks using wastewater and sewage. But first, our top stories. A woman was booked in jail after police accused her of leaving a baby in a hot car in South Salt Lake for well over an hour while she was inside a plasma donation center. KSL News Radio's Randall Jepson has more.
A person parking just outside the CSL Plasma Center says they spotted a baby crying in a car seat and there was no one around. Police showed up. They said the temperature inside the car registered 100 degrees after the door was open and the child removed. Police also wrote in a probable cause statement that surveillance video showed the woman who left the child in the car. She came back and checked on the infant after about an hour, then went back inside the building.
Police say the woman is being investigated for child abuse and reckless endangerment. We'll be speaking to an officer live in a moment about what happened. Our top national story from ABC News, the search for Travis Decker, the father accused of killing his 3 young daughters at a campground in central Washington, is intensifying. Luke Ducey reports for our sister station, Cairo News Radio in Seattle.
Chelan County Sheriff Mike Morrison told News Nation Decker spent months at a time in the wilderness by himself for fun, and he'd often cache food and other supplies in different spots.
So if he did set it up beforehand and put supplies out there, it could make it more difficult to track him down.
Morrison says Decker may have undergone mountain survival training as an Army Ranger. Deputies are now consulting survivalists and behavioral analysts with the FBI to anticipate Decker's next moves. Luke Ducey, Cairo News Radio.
The suspect in the firebombing attack on pro-Israeli marchers in Boulder, Colorado, is due in court this afternoon. When Mohammed Solomon appears in Boulder County Court, he will hear the official charges he's now facing. Police now say they know of 15 human victims and 1 dog who were injured in the attack. All are expected to survive. Resurrecting a hallmark policy of his first term, President Trump announcing late yesterday that citizens of 12 countries would be banned from visiting the United States. ABC's Karen Travers at the White House.
The president was asked specifically why Egypt was not included, because in the
the video he released last night, he cited the Boulder, Colorado attack as a reason why he's moving forward on this right now. That was, of course, the suspect in that attack was an Egyptian man who had overstayed his visa. The president said Egypt is a country that the United States deals with very closely. He said they have things under control, and the countries that are on the list do not.
Nationals from 7 other countries would face restrictions. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up about 42 points, or exactly 0.1% right now. S&P 500 down 9, and NASDAQ down 67. Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Here's Ricky Meese.
No new problems on the roads. We still have the final clearing of this Draper crush northbound I-15, not far from Bangerter Highway, but it's out of traffic on the shoulder. Advanced Window Products, $2,500 off 10 windows or more. AdvancedWindows.com. Affordable windows guaranteed. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Temperatures ticking up this weekend. Right now it is mostly cloudy and 74 degrees from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
Repair or replace your roof now during S&S Roofing's huge spring sale. 12 months interest-free financing. The highest value roofing job in Utah. Dial pound 250 and then say S&S Roofing.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Pro Paint Days are back at Lowe's, and My Lowe's Pro Rewards members can save even more with limited time deals. Right now, buy one, get one half off select HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams primer and ceiling paint. Plus, get free same-day delivery to your job site when you order by 2 p.m. Offer valid through 6/13, delivery by 8 p.m., subject to driver availability. Additional terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
When you crash your car, you get it fixed. When your computer crashes, you get a new one. But what will you do if you've been saving in a 401k or an IRA and the market crashes? If you're in your 30s or 40s, you'll be just fine. But if you're in or near retirement, you could be in trouble. Mike Stevens and his team at Capital Wealth Advisors are here to help. They can run a risk analysis to see if you're too heavily invested in the market. Don't let the ups and downs of Wall Street control you or your retirement dreams. Call 801-210-5500 today to schedule your risk analysis with Mike Stevens and the team at Capital Wealth Advisors. That's 801-210-5500. Crashes happen. Question is, are you ready? Capital Wealth Advisors, 801-210-5500. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Advisory services offered through Capital Wealth Advisors, LLC, a state of Utah registered investment advisor.
As summer approaches, the mercury rises along with it, and those hot temperatures pose a danger for kids and pets left in cars. Thanks for tuning in to Midday. I'm Becky Bruce. Maria Shilaos is off today. Last night, a scary situation unfolded in the parking lot of a plasma donation center in South Salt Lake. Charging documents say a woman left her infant in the car for 2 hours while donating plasma. Police say those windows were down about an inch, but the temperature was well over 100 degrees inside. Someone saw the child crying in the car and called police, who quickly responded and rescued the child. Joining me now to share the latest update is Detective Ryan Alvarez with South Salt Lake Police. Detective, can you walk us through the situation as it unfolded last night?
Yes, hi. Officers were called to that CSL plasma donation around 5:27 p.m. That address is 2978 South State Street for the infant who was left in the vehicle unattended. The vehicle was not running when officers arrived, which also means the air conditioning was not on. They found the car was parked in a way that had direct afternoon sunlight on it, and there was no shade from any buildings or trees. When officers arrived, they did find the mother holding the infant, and then the fire department arrived to check on the child to see how it was doing medically. The baby was found to have a fever of 101 degrees and was taken to Primary Children's Hospital for treatment. Officers continued their investigation and found the child had been left in the car around 3:43 p.m. until about 5:30 p.m. So a total of 108 minutes. And like you said, the vehicle's windows were left about an inch, but the inside of the vehicle was about 100 degrees. And this was higher than the outside temperature, which was about 78 degrees. I know yesterday was a beautiful day. And so even though we may think it's a cool day, it may actually be significantly warmer in a vehicle. We did see through surveillance video that the mother did check on the child twice during the time that she was donating plasma, but did so by looking through the window and did not open the door, which would have allowed the inside of the vehicle to cool off a little, or for her to check the temperature of the vehicle. The mother was booked into jail on charges.
Do you know how the child is doing now? That fever is a little concerning.
We have not had an update from the hospital. We don't have an update at this point.
No worries. Of course, police don't charge people who are accused of crimes. That's a prosecutor's job. But what were you booking her into jail for?
Correct. We booked her on reckless endangerment and child abuse.
And this case is a little bit different, but I have a feeling this is just the beginning for the summer. We almost always have situations where people forget their children or their pets in the car. What's the message or the tips that you have for people to make sure they don't do that?
I think what you said, just don't do it. We may think that it's a cool day outside. We've had beautiful weather the last few days, and so the temptation might be, oh, it's nice outside. We can leave a dog, a pet, a child in a car. However, we know that vehicles are significantly warmer inside than the ambient temperature. So you don't want to do it at any point because it's going to be a lot hotter in a car than you expect it might be.
And finally, just how often does this happen with the South Salt Lake Police? How often do you respond to this kind of thing?
I don't have exact numbers of how often we respond, but we do get calls from people who see pets or children in cars, and we do appreciate the public being aware of the things they see as they're going about their day and letting us know. We're glad that this situation was not a tragic one that ended in death, but we do just ask the public to keep an eye out for it because we want to respond and protect life.
Detective Ryan Alvarez with South Salt Lake Police, thank you for the update. Stay with us. We'll be back with more Midday in just 60 seconds.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Progressive knows owning a home can be hard, but not always. Like when you're relaxing on your patio, enjoying a nice quiet evening. So quiet. Except for the sound of the neighbor's party. Which you said you'd go to if you weren't busy. And your quiet night on the patio, that's not exactly busy, is it? Maybe you should just stay inside. At least Progressive's Home Quote Explorer lets you easily compare rates, so shopping for insurance is the easiest part of owning a home. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Spontaneous combustion. Sounds pretty intense, right? Turns out straw and hay bales can do just that. The St. George News reports it happened on a semi-truck trailer driving down I-15 yesterday. But it's not just a southern Utah thing. This could happen anywhere. Midday executive producer Andy Cupp spoke to United Fire Authority's Kelly Bird to find out more about this kind of explosive situation.
How common is this?
I would probably guess, not having actual data in front of me, that's not super common, but is very possible to happen. But it's not something that we see very often, no.
Do you know why this happens or like how it happens? Because it does seem kind of odd that something would just spontaneously poof.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you think of something about, hay and straw, and it doesn't seem to be one of those types of things that would do that. But it is actually something that can happen. Apparently, the moisture that's in straw and hay as it's cut, if it's the content's too high and then it's bunched together and baled, they can ferment and then it can generate heat as that process that happens. And so as that heat builds, obviously, everything has a point of combustion, and in straw and hay is something that probably has a little bit lower uh, combustion point or flammability point, and so it gets hot enough in there that it just combusts. And I think this is what happened down there at the southern end of the state.
Any ideas on how to prevent it? Because even though that situation down in southern Utah happened on a truck on the freeway, it sounds like this could happen, in a barn as well. So, like, what kinds of things can people do to prevent the spontaneous combustion?
Sure. I mean, I would make an assumption that farmers and individuals that deal with this type of thing are probably pretty familiar with the process of, after making a cut, they have to allow it to dry out. I'm sure we've all seen, fields that have been cut, and then there's just lines of the product out in the field, just kind of sitting there for.
Yeah.
And that process is to allow the moisture that's built up inside of that straw and hay to kind of dry out, so that as they do bale it and package it and stack it on top of each other, that this risk is eliminated. So I would say just give it the time to dry out. I'm sure there's a process that they have to measure the moisture content within the hay, but as far as how that specifically works, I'm honestly not going to be able to give any information about that.
Gotcha. And I guess, if as a firefighter, when you guys come upon a situation like this, is it just your pretty standard, typical maneuvers to put it out, or is there something special you have to do?
Obviously, we want to cool it, and the way we cool something that's on fire is with water. The problem with something like this, especially if it's stacked on top of each other in a either on a truck or in a barn or in a loft, is it could be deep down within that stack, and so getting down to the source of the heat, the source of the fire, is going to take a little bit of time and kind of digging it out to make sure that it's cooled, and then that it doesn't have that opportunity to reignite.
That was Unified Fire Authority Public Information Officer Kelly Bird. Another attempt to ban travelers from certain countries. Will it work this time for President Trump? That story is coming up next. But first, it's KSL Traffic, brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Ricky.
We are still seeing a delayed free drive on all the Valley freeways at this time, and the crash that we had northbound on I-15 at Bangerter Highway in Draper is pretty much cleared away, so we're back to a smooth commute throughout with no accidents and no delays. Traffic's rough, but your parking lot doesn't have to be. GoPave Utah keeps things smooth with expert asphalt maintenance at GoPaveUtah.com. That's GoPaveUtah.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
If you want to lose weight and you've been checking out all of these weight loss programs that have medications, but you're a little worried about the side effects, I want to tell you about an all-natural program that works. It's Salt Lake City Fat Loss. I have lost more than 40 pounds with this great program. Besides looking better and feeling more confident, I no longer suffer from back spasms after working out in the yard. I have more energy, and I just plain feel better about myself. Salt Lake City Fat Loss uses just a simple combination of foods that help you burn off that stored fat. It's easy to stick with because you lose that weight quickly, and it's simple to follow. It's just, again, that simple combination of foods. Wouldn't it be great to lose up to a pound of fat per day? That's what many of their clients lose. Just go to slcfatloss.com to learn more and schedule your free consultation. Or you can call 801-450-1882 or slcfatloss.com, slcfatloss.com.
When is the optimal time to file for Social Security? That could help you get every penny that is rightfully yours. Get the answer in a free report, your guide to filing for Social Security in 2025 and beyond. It's from Boss Retirement Solutions, who's helped tens of thousands of families get the most out of their benefits. If you've saved more than $200,000 and have not filed for Social Security, get your free report now by calling 251-1046. Timing, taxes, spousal benefits. This free report details the most critical things you must consider that could help you get the most income from your Social Security benefits today. Get this free report right now by calling 801-251-1046. That number again, 801-251-1046.
Boss Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the Social Security Administration.
Imagine waking up every morning with a smile you're proud of. No more hiding, no more pain. Stubbs Dental Implant Center, Utah's Best of State winner for 3 years in a row, has helped thousands of people ditch the dentures and say goodbye to missing or broken teeth. Their expert team specializes in giving you a permanent, natural-looking smile with dental implants that feel and function just like real teeth. With over 2,000 five-star Google reviews, their patients say it best.
Dental implants gave me my life back. I feel confident again. I feel like I can be myself.
There was no way I was getting dentures. Getting dental implants from Stubbs Dental has been the best decision of my life.
Let the expert team at Stubbs Dental help you take the first step to changing your life with dental implants. Schedule your complimentary consultation today, a $350 value, absolutely free. Visit StubbsDental.com today. That's StubbsDental.com. StubbsDental.com.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. 783-8055. That's 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
You're listening to Midday. I'm Becky Bruce, in for Maria Shilaos. President Trump attempting to impose new travel bans on several countries. You'll recall he did something similar during his first term. ABC's Catherine Faulders breaks down the move with Brad Milkey.
I remember in 2015, I was on the campaign trail covering when candidate Donald Trump announced a plan to ban people coming from any predominantly Muslim country. It was shocking at the time.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States.
There were legal questions galore, like how would this be constitutional? Was it not discrimination based on religion? And it couldn't apply to U.S. citizens, could it? What about visa holders, family members? When Trump entered the White House, he attempted to enact a slightly more narrow version of this. After courts blocked 2 different versions of it, he added some exemptions and some other countries, including North Korea and Venezuela. It was no longer a Muslim ban, it was a travel ban.
The travel ban ruling underscores just how critical it is to confirm judges who will support our Constitution.
In his second term, President Trump has been even bolder when it comes to restricting the entry of foreign nationals. When a peaceful protest became the site of a firebomb attack in Boulder, Colorado a few days ago, the Trump administration highlighted the suspect's immigration status. They announced they would try to have his family deported, leading to questions about whether this attack would be treated as justification for larger actions. Well, last night, President Trump suddenly announced he is once again ordering that travelers from several countries be banned from entering. And this wasn't his only notable order of the night. ABC senior reporter Catherine Faulders joins us from D.C. Catherine, let's start with what appears like a new travel ban, right? What's the president ordering here?
A new travel ban, Brad, and quite an expanded travel ban. We talk about that first one that you and I remember so well during the first Trump administration. Well, this is something that Trump promised on the campaign trail. Frankly, he's been promising this new expanded version of a travel ban for years. He has said when he returns to office that this travel ban is coming back even bigger than before.
And we will seal our border and bring back the travel ban. You remember the famous travel ban? We didn't take people from certain areas of the world because I didn't want to have people ripping down and burning our shopping centers and killing people.
Those are his words on the campaign trail when he was just recently campaigning for president. So what he did late last night was essentially ban travel, full restrictions on entry to the United States from 12 different countries. Now, that's in addition to partial restrictions that Trump announced that he would be imposing. That is partial restrictions on entry from 7 countries.
That is why today I am signing a new executive order placing travel restrictions on countries including Yemen, Somalia, Haiti, Libya, and numerous others.
This doesn't go into effect immediately. The proclamation that Trump signed says that this new expanded travel ban, if you will go into effect on Monday, June 9th at 12:01 a.m.
We will not let what happened in Europe happen to America.
The reason for this is what we've been hearing from Trump for a long time. He's been complaining about screening, vetting. He's saying that countries don't provide sufficient vetting. He's saying that this is for national security issues and for safety. But Brad, critics of this will say that this is discriminating against different groups of people.
There will still need to be some vetting of this on a constitutional level, and broad authority doesn't mean plenary, unchecked power.
This will likely face many legal challenges in the court, I can imagine. The last travel ban did. It was ultimately upheld after being revised multiple times. Biden rescinded that, President Joe Biden, on his first day in office. This is a bigger one. This is expanded. I cannot imagine that this won't be facing multiple legal challenges when this is implemented.
Yeah, and you heard him speaking in the Oval there, and he mentioned some of the countries. I'll just mention the others: Afghanistan, Burma, Chad, the Republic of the Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Iran, and Sudan. I mean, these are all countries in Africa, in the Caribbean, and in the Middle East and Asia. All of them non-majority white countries, we should say. In fact, he said, we don't want what happened in Europe happening here. He is, meanwhile, accepting white South African refugees, citing a so-called genocide that we have just still not seen substantiated evidence of being widespread. What is the rationale for this group of countries, and why is it different, I guess, than last time around?
Well, it's a great question, Brad, because this is much broader. As you mentioned, he said we don't want to be like Europe. We don't want, obviously, people coming into our country. He says we don't want them. That's what Trump said in a video that was posted.
The recent terror attack in Boulder, Colorado, has underscored the extreme dangers posed to our country by the entry of foreign nationals who are not properly vetted, as well as those who come here as temporary visitors and overstay their visas. We don't want them.
What's interesting here is that Trump also says in this proclamation that this list that he released, you ticked off those countries, can be updated to reflect improvements or what he says, new threats that might come about. Trump says his priority is to keep America safe. Now, interestingly, in the video that Trump released, he does tie it back to that Boulder attack. I'm told by sources that while this has been in draft form for quite some time, it's changed a lot. There have been more countries, for example, on this proclamation before this one came out. Of course, now it's been scaled back. But the point is, this has been discussed for many months. The attack in Boulder, Colorado really tipped this over the edge. And it's worth noting that, obviously, the suspect, in the Boulder, Colorado attacks from Egypt. Egypt is not a country listed in this travel ban. However, Trump specifically hints at Egypt and nods to Egypt, saying that he will have his cabinet secretaries conduct a review and give him a report on whether or not it should be added.
Well, and this wasn't even the only ban of the night, Catherine. He also said foreigners can no longer come here if they have plans to study at Harvard. You'd think that might be in response to a judge blocking his restrictions on Harvard. And then his other action, Catherine, might be even more consequential. This was not about immigration. It was all about criminal justice. It sounds like he's now planning to investigate people around former President Biden.
Yeah, so this is a significant escalation, Brad. We've talked a lot about this, as you know, and as you've covered. Trump has said multiple times he wants to look into the Biden pardons. Was Biden in the right state of mind when he issued those pardons when he left office?
They said, wait a minute, this is a gift. He'll do anything. We're going to use the auto pen.
So you remember at the end of Biden's presidency, he issued a slew of pardons. Now, what Trump has said is he believes those pardons could be null and void. He's not going to recognize those pardons. It's not clear that he can really do that, to be clear, Brad. But what he has done and said is that he wants DOJ to look into those pardons and Biden's mental state surrounding those pardons. We've heard that from this administration multiple times. But what's different, and what the White House did last night, is in a memo, in a letter from Trump to the Attorney General of the United States and his White House counsel, Trump is directing that DOJ launch a formal investigation into whether or not President Biden's administration sought to conspire to cover up his alleged mental state while in office. Now, that's different. Of course, that encompasses this whole idea that, oh, he signed it with an auto pen. Did Biden really sign this and that? Or are these pardons null and void? Okay, fine. That will be part of this investigation. But the real question here is, how far does this go? Does the Department of Justice actually issue subpoenas? Do they have people come in and testify? Is this actually a formal criminal investigation? It appears that way. It appears that's what the president is directing happen here. That requires a lot of resources and a lot of energy, and that does represent a significant escalation in terms of the directive from the White House to the Department of Justice.
Yeah, and of course the concern from a lot of legal advocates with that kind of thing is, at what point are you trying to just essentially punish whoever was working in the last administration and trying to send a message that, hey, if you work for the other side, we might put federal agents at your doorstep? That's a concern, at least. Catherine Falders, working your sources throughout the night. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Brad.
That was ABC's Catherine Falders on the Start Here podcast with Brad Milkey. It's 1:30 p.m. midday at KSL News Radio. Hello, I'm Becky Bruce. Some of the stories we're watching this hour: tracking measles and other diseases in Utah's wastewater, and how much time should kids be spending staring at a screen? And KSL traffic. Ricky?
Well, officers are mopping up what's left of an earlier accident, 1700 South and Main Street. And if you're traveling southbound I-15, a crash in Midvale. It's over to the right shoulder just after 7200 South. Becky?
We're at mostly cloudy, 75 degrees on our way up to about 81 today. Tomorrow, a little warmer than that. And then by the end of the weekend, low 90s. ABC News is next.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. A fallout between President Trump and Elon Musk over the budget bill.
It was really striking to hear President Trump seem to turn on Elon Musk there. He has been quiet for the last couple of days as Elon Musk has been criticizing the signature piece of legislation for the president's whole term right now. This is the big domestic agenda bill, the big tax policy bill. Elon Musk has called it an abomination, has been encouraging people to reach out to lawmakers to kill the bill. The president there said multiple times he is very disappointed in Elon Musk.
ABC's Karen Travers. A judge in Massachusetts granting bond for Milford High School student Marcela Gomez da Silva. The 18-year-old was detained by immigration officials driving to volleyball practice last weekend. ICE says they initially were looking for the teen's father. An IDF spokesperson says Israeli defense forces are currently attacking what it calls Hezbollah targets in Beirut and buildings that make drones. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story. The new manager of the Utah Fits All Scholarship is requiring families to resubmit their applications for the coming school year. KSL News Radio's Adam Small has more.
The program can net students between $4,000 and $8,000 scholarships to help with the costs of homeschooling or private school. Last week, families who applied for this upcoming school year were supposed to find out whether or not their kids were going to get a scholarship. That was until the program transitioned to a new management company, Odyssey, who recently posted on their website that they're rerunning this year's application cycle due to what they claim was incomplete and inconsistent information provided to them by the previous scholarship manager, ACE. Odyssey says the decision is to, quote, ensure accuracy, consistency, and compliance with the Utah Fits All law. Right now, there is no timetable on when this year's scholarships will be awarded. The future of the scholarships as a whole are still up in the air, too, after a Utah judge recently ruled the program is unconstitutional, but they are allowing it to continue while the state appeals the ruling. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
University officials are watching legislation that could affect how many students receive federal aid. At Utah State University, over a quarter of their students receive some amount of federal aid in the form of a Pell Grant. A current bill could change that. Vice President of Strategic Enrollment Katie Jo North says the bill would increase credit requirements from 12 to 15, and there could be a change in workforce Pell Grants. North says students often struggle to balance work and studying.
So we have students all over the state. A lot of our statewide campuses have part-time students because they're full-time working adults, right?
North says finances are the number one reason why potential students choose not to continue their education. Another June means another year of stolen pride flags for one Salt Lake City church. KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla reports.
Pastor Curtis Price with First Baptist Church says it happens every year.
It feels like a violation. It is a little scary because you don't never know if it's going to escalate into something.
Still, Price says it's not shocking. He describes Pride as an important time for them, saying they are a welcoming and affirming congregation, and it's especially important for them to display Pride flags now, just months after the state's new legislation banning them from being flown in government-owned buildings was put in place.
The flags were quickly replaced by Project Rainbow and are now back in place at the church. Kaysville City Parks and Recreation officials say they're closing Barnes Park Fields after someone drove an ATV on them and tore up the sod. Officials say it's a major setback for community leagues. They're asking if anyone knows anything about this, they should call police. Your money at this moment, the Dow down 129 points right now. That's 0.3%. The S&P 500 down about 30. NASDAQ down about 151 points. Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Let's check back in with Ricky Meese.
No major delays on your Valley freeways. We do have a little bit of busy and sometimes slower traffic southbound I-15 in Riverdale by the I-84 junction, and a small accident in Midvale southbound I-15 after 7200 south out of traffic. Are you fighting a sewer line surprise, or has your barbecue gas line gone rogue? Utah Utility Pro tackles all your plumbing nightmares. Expert repairs, fast service, UtahUtilityPro.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Mostly sunny this afternoon, the high 81. Right now, it's mostly cloudy and 75 degrees from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
I am down 50 pounds in 11 weeks, and this program works. The pounds melt off. It's amazing.
I let go of 50 pounds. It felt unreal. I was so proud of myself.
Get in the best shape of your life with Soda Weight Loss.
Just 3 weeks in, and pounds are dropping off very quickly. I am down 26 pounds in 3 weeks.
Summer is right around the corner.
Your summer body starts right here because Soda's summer savings are on.
Every single day, Soda Weight Loss is helping people let go of the weight without drugs, without hunger, and the weight stays off.
I tried other things, came to soda, just amazing.
I started on soda 8 months ago, and I have released 80 pounds now.
Summer savings, stunning results, only at Soda Weight Loss. Get started now at sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com.
Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
Gain a global perspective and specialized skills that many of today's top employers are seeking with an MBA from University of Maryland Global Campus. Study online and complete your degree in just 16 months for about $21K. Choose from MBA specializations in global business, marketing, HR, finance, and more. Classes start June 11th. Learn more at umgc.edu. That's umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You're listening to Midday. I'm Becky Bruce, filling in for Maria Shilaos. Health officials nationwide are starting to use wastewater to track the spread of measles, similar to COVID tracking during the pandemic. CNN reports a company called Wastewater Scan has introduced a program that can detect measles in the wastewater. It's being rolled out to about 150 wastewater treatment plants nationwide. I asked the head of the wastewater surveillance program at the Utah Department of Health and Human Services, Nathan LaCrosse, whether Utah is already set up to track other illnesses.
We are, other diseases more generally, we are currently gathering data on a variety of respiratory pathogens in addition to SARS-CoV-2. So those include influenza A, influenza B, and RSV, so respiratory syncytial virus, A and B. And we're working on a few other assays, including one for Candida auris, which is a fairly newly discovered yeast pathogen that is spreading pretty rapidly across the country and causes some serious issues, especially in those who are more susceptible. So think like elderly, people who have other conditions going on, as well as the H5 subtype of influenza A and Mpox as well.
Are we considering, or are we already tracking measles at all in the wastewater? I saw there were some other places in the country that are doing that now.
Yeah, it's certainly of extreme interest right now for obvious reasons, I suspect. We are not currently doing that ourselves. We are in the pretty initial stages of looking at some different lab assays. So at the very least, we hope to have that available against need in the hopefully not too distant future. A lot depends on how that testing and validation of those assays go. It's hard to predict in advance. Sometimes it goes well and it goes pretty quick. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer because you run into complications.
What local systems are you using to track wastewater illnesses?
So we are currently testing at 35 different wastewater utilities across the state, twice per week. It's most places in the state. We have excellent coverage across the Wasatch Front, where the majority of Utah's population lives, as well as a scattering of sites in more distant areas like Vernal and Moab and St. George and Park City and Tooele.
So follow-up question to that. Obviously, during COVID, you were using that to try and track and prevent outbreaks as they were happening. So what's the benefit of tracking diseases in wastewater?
There are a few of them. One of the more obvious ones, I think, at least from our perspective, is that it is a very efficient way of doing long-term broad-scale surveillance, which tends to be very resource intensive. It's an expensive process. That sort of tracking in general. But with wastewater surveillance, you're able to do that at a population level far more simply and far more cheaply and efficiently. And that is definitely a benefit. This scale of surveillance via many other mechanisms just really wouldn't be feasible long term. But we're hoping to be able to do this long term because we do have that efficiency. It often, not always, but often, we see changes in our wastewater data before they will show up in clinical case data. So we can often, but again, not always, but often, get early detections of something new, see increases, have early warning of increases or outbreaks before we may otherwise. And in a lot of times, those situations, even hours, much less days, can make a difference.
And I know this is going to be a little bit gross, but how exactly do you track the system for things like COVID, measles, et cetera?
It's not as gross as one might expect. I've visited a number of our partner utilities. They just look like industrial buildings. Really, you don't really necessarily know what's going on. So they're doing a variety of sampling for their own purposes because they have permits and they are under a number of regulations to make sure that they're operating in a safe and effective manner, naturally speaking. So what we're doing is, instead of asking them to go through the expense and effort of collecting special samples just for us, we're asking them to just set aside a small volume of the samples they're already collecting. Far easier for them. And we have those samples transported to our state public health lab, where they process them. So they do concentration extraction of the nucleic acids, which is actually what we're looking for within the samples, and then run the assays to see whether those nucleic acids of the targets we're interested in are present and in what concentration. And the samples themselves, they really, for the most part, look like slightly cloudy water.
Interesting. Anything else about measles, COVID, wastewater tracking that I didn't ask you that you'd like to add?
just some more general talking points, I would say, it's the current widespread measles outbreak is really kind of a series of outbreaks. Is certainly concerning I think from everybody's perspective, I would hope, because measles has historically we know that it's not necessarily a mild illness. It can be very severe, including up to death in the really unfortunate subjects. So it's something that I think people do need to pay attention to. Vaccination is still by far the safest and most effective way of preventing infection. Um, it's a safe and effective vaccine. We're not aware of any cases in Utah yet, but given the widespread nature, we're certainly are preparing ourselves.
Currently, more than 1,100 measles cases have been identified in 2025 in the U.S. ABC medical correspondent Dr. Darian Sutton.
These numbers are actually quite astonishing. It's the second highest number of cases, the annual case rate that we've seen in close to 25 years. The first time, if you remember, was in 2019. That was about 1,200 cases. We've surpassed 1,000, and we're only halfway through the year. So we're likely past that number and have the highest number of cases in over 25 years.
That 25-year number he just said, that's not arbitrary. The U.S. declared measles eliminated in this country back in the year 2000. We're currently only about 100 cases away from matching or beating the 2019 case count, the year with the largest number of cases since Y2K. By the way, if you're not sure about your vaccine status, there is a way to check. Here again is Dr. Sutton.
If you are concerned and you want to check your vaccine status, I encourage patients to talk to their providers, of course, to see if those records are available. There are certain states and jurisdictions where you can also find that information. And then really easy enough, you can also get a blood test to see if you have antibodies, which are those protective cells that help you fight infection, to see if you have immunity.
Health officials think the total number of cases we're looking at right now, by the way, could be an undercount. Yet another reason to look at the wastewater. Midday continues in just 60 seconds.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Does your job require you to be on your feet all day? Teachers, postal carriers, salespeople, and restaurant staff. Many of us need our feet to get us through the day. Hi, this is Mike with the Good Feet store, and I'd like you to hear from Donna. She's a nurse and a real customer of the Good Feet store who wanted to share her story.
Oh, I have to tell you, I have struggled with pain in my feet. I was diagnosed with plantar fasciitis. With the 3-step program, it really fits to your lifestyle. I work in a hospital. I'm a registered nurse, so being on my feet, walking throughout the hospital during the day, I am free from any type of pain. And after working a 12-hour shift, I go home and my feet do not hurt.
Whether you're a nurse or anyone wanting to enjoy work without your feet getting in the way, come see us at the Good Feet store.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Schedule your free test walk at goodfeet.com.
You've probably heard the term iPad kid. It describes a child who's often on an iPad or other electronic device, staying occupied by staring at a screen. Now, the American Academy of Pediatrics is sounding an alarm, saying parents need to be more mindful of how much time their kids spend on electronic devices. The Utah Office of Families issuing similar warnings along with recommendations. Amy Winder-Newton is the Director of Families and was appointed to that office by Governor Spencer Cox. She tells Debbie Dujanovic and Aaron Ryder that excessive screen time is associated with developmental delays in things like speech, motor skills, and problem-solving abilities.
We're actually talking about this because we are starting to hear more from childcare providers, preschool teachers, and others that they're seeing kids come through that don't know how to self-regulate. Their social and emotional skills are lacking, and it's because they're worried that they've been given screens to keep them pacified. And so
even as newborns?
Well, not as necessarily as newborns, but at young ages. And so they're not ready for school. It's a little crazy. And what we realized is most people don't realize the American Academy of Pediatrics actually has these recommendations. So we want to get the word out. We want people to know. So let me talk 0 to 18 months. No screen time except for video chatting.
Winder-Newton says screen time for kids is affecting their ability to form human connections, too.
Really, it's because face-to-face interactions build language and improve recognition of emotions, and they help the children learn social skills. And so we want more face-to-face interaction. Now, 18 to 24 months, we still say limit your screen time, less than an hour a day. And you as a parent, if you're watching high quality, educational, interactive, age appropriate TV shows or whatever with them, that's okay. Then 2 to 5 years, we say limit to 1 hour a day. And your child still learns best when they're watching with somebody. So a sibling or a parent, and still make sure it's age appropriate and educational. And then 6 years and older, we say no more than 2 hours a day. That's what the American Academy of Pediatrics is saying. But parents need to make sure that they're getting adequate outside play and physical activity and social interaction and sleep and everything else to keep kids healthy.
She says it's also important to get your kids out of the house and off those screens.
Send your kids outside. Let them take risks. Let them climb a tree. My sister was telling me last night, my daughter wants to walk to, such and such place with her friends, and I'm really nervous. I'm like, no, let her. Like, kids are safer than we realize. Like, I know we all get a little bit nervous, but let those kids have those experiences, because that's what helps decrease anxiety and other things as they get older. And so, there's other things we recommend too. Turn off screens during meal times and family outings.
I love that.
Don't let kids have their screens in their bedrooms or bathrooms for older kids.
Winder Newton mentioned a few other recommendations for parents.
Avoid using screens as pacifiers, babysitters, or to stop tantrums, because then you're training kids that they need to have a device in order to calm themselves. And that's not healthy. When they go off to school, those poor kindergarten teachers, they've got a bunch of kids who are used to having an iPad handed to them when they are upset. Like, we're in trouble. So doing that. But you know what helps kids the most out of all of these things is parents staying off their devices.
I was just going to say that.
Because we have parents who are ignoring their kids, and they're they want to scroll and they're doing their thing, and these kids are following their example. And so as a parent, the best thing you can do is set an example for your kid.
You can find more tips and recommendations at families.utah.gov. They lined up for hours overnight. It was akin to what Black Friday used to be. We'll tell you more about the hundreds of Utahns who tried to get their hands on the new Nintendo Switch 2. That's coming up next. But first, it's KSL Traffic, brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Ricky?
A crash in Midvale, southbound I-15, just after 7200 South. It is out of traffic to the right, but we are starting to see some backups in the area to the south interchange. When you take UTA, you can do just about anything while you ride. You won't even notice all the traffic you're missing. Plan your trip at rideuta.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
This time of year, so many wonderful things are going on. First of all, there are graduations. There are many weddings. The list goes on. And you will be so pleased, and the person that maybe receives the gift will be so pleased if you include Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Maybe for a wedding luncheon, perhaps for a graduation celebration. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse at Hotel Park City or downtown Salt Lake City, they will absolutely take care of you and your group. It's time to make your reservations and gift cards. By the way, in that graduation card that you're sending out, how about a gift card to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse? Everything is always perfect. And don't forget, this is probably the most important thing of all, since I am a father. Father's Day! Don't overlook dear old Dad. He will love going to Ruth's Chris, that's a hint, Steakhouse, Ruth's Chris Steakhouse.
It's time for the KSL Give-a-thon.
We need your help raising money for sick Utah kids receiving treatment at Primary Children's Hospital.
Go to KSLkids.com and donate today.
Be a smile maker. An automatic gift each month helps save the lives of children all year long.
Sponsored by J&J Garden Center in Layton.
A big thanks to other generous sponsors, including the Utah Hyundai dealers, for their amazing support of the kids of Primary Children's.
The KSL Give-a-thon. We can't do it without you. Please give today at kslkids.com.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs deals that can save you thousands if you qualify. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call the tax professionals at Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Pantheon Clinical Research is conducting a clinical study for children and teens. Is your child struggling with bipolar depression? If your child is between 10 and 17 years old and experiencing symptoms of depression associated with bipolar disorder, such as persistent sadness, loss of interest in activities, trouble sleeping, low energy, difficulty concentrating, or even suicidal thoughts, Pantheon Clinical Research may be able to help. We are ready to take your call anytime. Call our phone lines at Pantheon Clinical Research at 385-281-0550. That's 385-281-0550. We're conducting a no-cost clinical study for children and teens facing bipolar depression. Participants will receive study-related care, medical tests, and investigational treatment from a dedicated medical team, all at no cost and with no health insurance required. Call Pantheon Clinical Research today at 385-281-0550. That's 385-281-0550. Or visit our website at pantheonclinical.com to learn more. Hope starts here.
Are you living with dry AMD? If so, you could be on the road to geographic atrophy, or GA, a condition that leads to retinal cell death and permanent vision loss. But with Izervay, you can
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay slows GA progression by targeting a key source of retinal cell death, which may help preserve your vision longer. Izervay, or Avastin Capted Pagel, is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
Thanks for being with me today on Midday. I'm Becky Bruce, in for Maria Shilaos. It's a big day for Nintendo fans. They lined up to be first to get their hands on the Nintendo Switch 2 overnight. The new Switch went on sale last night at 10 p.m., and fans who'd been waiting 8 years for this update told KSL TV they were stoked. CJ Raleigh told KSL TV's Dan Rascone why he was willing to stand in the long line.
Well, it's just I've had the Switch since the release date of the last one, which was 8 years ago now. I've just been a huge Nintendo fanboy kind of thing. I'm liking all the new games, and the biggest thing is the portability of it is really nice. I'm happy for Donkey Kong that's coming out next week, the new Mario Kart World that's coming out tonight, as well as a bunch of other new games that I'm super excited for.
Raleigh says what makes the Switch special is the way it calls back to the old Game Boy, but with a lot more juice.
The Switch one which was really, really fun and cool, was kind of much more like an older generation model, so kind of like a PS1 or PS2 style. This new one that's supposed to be really a lot more powerful is more like a PlayStation 4 in your hand. So while it's still not going to be as good as probably an Xbox One or the PS5, the biggest thing is it's in my hand whenever I want it to. It runs everything that I want it to. I don't care if it's the most intense thing in the world. I really like one that I can just play wherever I want to without any inconvenience or problems. And if I want to play at home, I also now have the ability to play at home too. So all these options is what I really love about it.
Kimra Baum was also lined up outside GameStop in Taylorsville last night for a chance to get her hands on the Switch 2.
I got my Switch about 4 years ago when my parents bought it for me for Christmas. I was not expecting it to be as good as it is. I finished Mario Kart 8, a lot of fun. My brother gets mad that I keep beating him at it. And I also finished the Skywalker Saga for LEGO Star Wars. I have been having so much fun. It's great.
What is it about the Switch 2 that's going to be so exciting, going from the Switch 1 to the Switch 2?
One of the problems I've had is my Switch 1 will heat up a bit too much if I keep playing it for hours. So chilling at work, not a problem. Chilling at home on the couch, and I slowly notice my Switch heating up. I'm like, no, I don't want to put it down. But apparently they've mostly fixed that. So helps that out, and it's a great time.
Again, just summing things up, how excited are you and why?
Very.
Very well.
Very excited. I'm excited for the new Street Fighter. I'm I haven't played Street Fighter in a while. And I'm like, wait, there's a new one. I got to do this. We're going to beat my brother-in-law at Street Fighter.
What does it cost?
I think it's about $500. I got the Mario Kart World Bundle, so that increased it a little bit.
So it takes it over 600 or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
With all of the things I got, it was over 600. But I also got the carrying case, which I'm excited for because I'm destructive.
Damir Krizanovich got the very last pre-order earlier in the day.
The golden ticket, the last one.
So compared to the Switch 1 and now the Switch 2, what is it that just takes it to a new level? What is it about it that you're so excited?
Mainly internal specs, of course, 8 years. A bit long time for technological development. If you look at, other consoles, other just pieces of technology, phones, computers, whatever. 8 years is a huge gap. So the specs, everything, much better than they were before. And the controllers. I always thought the controllers were too small. They're really fragile. These are better, improved, bigger, going to fit in your hand nicely. I don't even know what else to tell you.
Can't wait. You're going to be staying up late tonight?
Absolutely. I got work off tomorrow. I told my dad, the water heaters and everything, they're going to have to wait. You're going to have to call somebody else because I ain't doing it.
Dan asked Krizanovich what games he's most excited about.
I always like the Mario Parties the most. Mario Party, Mario Kart, of course, classic. Never really a big Zelda guy, but I do play it. But Mario Bros. Probably would be the top three. It'd probably be, Mario Party, Mario Kart, and then Mario Bros.
He also told us part of the appeal of Nintendo for him is the family legacy and the nostalgia. His father got a Nintendo Wii when he was very young.
My father got that in 2008 or 2009. So I was about 5 years old when it came out. One of my fondest memories playing games for the first time was on the Wii when Switch, it was Wii Sports actually at the time. We were playing the boxing. I was 5 years old. I was trying to beat my dad, and that's where the nostalgia comes in.
That's where it all started.
That's where it all started for me.
If you or your kids didn't manage to get your hands on the Switch 2, there are some still available, but you might have to shop around or be willing to wait for some shipping. In the next hour of Midday, we'll take a look at the things drivers can do to stay safe around bigwigs.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Flames breaking out this morning on the roof of the Salt Lake County Jail.
The roof is comprised of different layers. The fire did breach the top layer and got to a membrane. So currently right now they're smoldering along the membrane under the top layer of the roof. So the fire department is actively removing that.
The time is 2 o'clock on Thursday, June 5th. It's midday. I'm Becky Bruce. Coming up, the latest on the cleanup efforts and effects on inmates there. Also this hour,
wait for an opening, get around, and then go on, and that's the safe way to do it.
the message from truck drivers to Utah drivers in order to stay safe. But first, our top stories. A woman was booked into jail last night after police say she left her infant in the car while she was donating plasma in South Salt Lake. Investigators say the child was in the car for well over an hour. They say the windows were down about an inch, but the temperature inside the car was still recorded at 100 degrees after the door was opened and the child removed. Someone called police after they saw the child crying in the car. Our top national stories from ABC News. Elon Musk is ramping up his criticism of President Trump's budget bill, and the president isn't happy about it.
It was really striking to hear President Trump seem to turn on Elon Musk there. He has been quiet for the last couple of days as Elon Musk has been criticizing the signature piece of legislation for the president's whole term right now. This is the big domestic agenda bill, the big tax policy bill. Elon Musk has called it an abomination, has been encouraging people to reach out to lawmakers to kill the bill. The president there said multiple times he is very disappointed in Elon Musk.
That's ABC's Karen Travers. President Trump is banning people from countries his administration deems dangerous to come to America. The ban includes nationals from Afghanistan, Haiti, and Yemen. The Republican president's first travel ban was issued during his last administration and banned travel from 7 predominantly Muslim countries. Today, the U.S. Supreme Court sided with an Ohio woman who sued her previous employer for reverse discrimination. ABC's Devin Dwyer reports.
Title VII of the Civil Rights Act prohibits discrimination on the basis of sex or sexual orientation. What had happened in this case is Marlene Ames, the plaintiff, who was seeking to sue the Ohio Department of Youth Services, where she had worked for 15 years, brought her claims to court. They were tossed out by a federal appeals court that said she had to prove something higher because she was a white, straight woman. She had to show some background circumstances in order to even get in the courthouse door. But what the Supreme Court said today is it's a level playing field for everybody under Title VII, no matter who you are.
The ruling could impact lawsuits against employers in D.C. and nearly 24 other states. Your money at this moment, the Dow down 108 points, or about 0.25%. S&P 500 is down 31 points. The NASDAQ is down 162. Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Let's check back in with Ricky Meese.
We have a new accident in Weber County, southbound I-15, approaching the I-84 junction in Riverdale. The accident is mostly out of traffic over to the right shoulder, but we have seen some delays in the area. Advanced Window Products, factory direct affordable windows. Call today, they're on their way. Financing available. Save now, pay later. AdvancedWindows.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
We've got some afternoon clouds on our way up to a high of about 81 degrees. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, 83 degrees. And by the end of the weekend, we'll be looking at the low 90s. Right now, it is mostly cloudy and 76 degrees from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. I want to tell you about our famous "You Don't Need a Warranty" warranty. That's right. It's a warranty you don't need, but we give it to you anyway. Let me explain. Most warranty problems for siding, gutters, and windows are caused by not installing stuff right in the first place. If you rush the work, cut corners, or use subpar materials, you're just begging for problems later. At RGS Exteriors, we don't tolerate careless workmanship. We slow down, focus on every detail, and use only the best materials. We prevent warranty work by doing the job right in the first place. That's why the 10-year everything guarantee we give you is also known as our "You Don't Need a Warranty" warranty. We absolutely will be there if you need to use it. But honestly, you probably will never have to. Done right the first time. That's the RGS way. For siding, gutters, and windows, call 801-280-3110 or visit us at rgsexteriors.com.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Pro Paint Days are back at Lowe's, and My Lowe's Pro Rewards members can save even more with limited time deals. Right now, buy one, get one half off select HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams primer and ceiling paint. Plus, get free same-day delivery to your job site when you order by 2 p.m. Offer valid through 6/13, delivery by 8 p.m., subject to driver availability. Additional terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
We're following developing news on Midday. I'm Becky Bruce. A fire broke out this morning at the Salt Lake County Metro Jail, and there is a news conference just beginning right now with Salt Lake County Sheriff Rosie Rivera. Let's listen in live.
Notified our jail employees. Also, from that moment, we notified South Salt Lake Fire, and they responded within a very short time frame. They were able to put the fire out. At this time, we don't have any injuries. except we do have the contractor did complain of ankle injury, and he was taken to work med to have that ankle looked at. We don't know if it was related to the fire or later as he was running to tell someone. We just don't have any information on that, but he is going to be okay. As far as all of the prisoners that are in our facility, we don't have any injuries. We were able to move them very, very quickly. And I just want to clarify, we did say that we evacuated from those units to other units. When we say evacuate, it doesn't mean they were evacuated outside the jail. They all were still in the jail, just moved to other units. So that's what's occurring right now, is we are evaluating the situation, and we have 3 of the units are back up and running. We have 1 unit down, and all of the prisoners have been moved that need to be moved. And we're going to, just keep going forward with normal operations. And, this was a big deal today, but the way it was handled, I'm very impressed, not just with my staff from the sheriff's office, but all of the fire departments that responded. We're very grateful for their services. They do amazing work, and it just makes me more confident in the processes that we have in place. We do have a standard operations plan that we put in place to move those prisoners from one unit to another, and it worked very well. And really the reason it works is because when you practice things like this, it helps you get better every time. We will be debriefing this entire situation and with the agencies that were involved so that we can take a look at our operations, if there's somewhere we can improve, or we also want to know what we did very well. That will be at a later date. The one impact that we saw to the community was really to the police community. Our booking was closed for about 2 hours, so officers that were bringing prisoners to jail were delayed a couple of hours. We did make notifications to all the police departments and our dispatch, and that is open now, so we don't have, it's just normal operations at the jail currently. So I will have the chief from South Salt Lake Fire speak, and then after that Mayor Wilson wants to say a few words, and we'll open up to questions after they're finished. So Chief, thank you for being here. And thank you.
This is South Salt Lake Fire Chief
Terry
Addison.
Terry Addison with the South Salt Lake Fire Department. As Sheriff Rivera said, fire crews were dispatched. We received the call at 10:35, just shortly after her crews sent it out. The fire department responded, and they arrived. They found a fire on the roof. Now, this fire did not breach the structure. The structure is all secure. But we had found in the area of origin where the fire started was where the maintenance was being performed on the heating and ventilation unit. The fire was able to get between the membrane structure and reach some insulation, which was burning. The fire crews had to remove some of the insulation and the membrane in order to ensure that the fire did not continue to spread. As the sheriff said, no injuries. The fire department went through, they ventilated the structure to remove all smoke and any remnants of any hazardous vapors, gases, or fumes before employees and occupants were allowed back in that area.
Again, a news conference
thank you,
right
Mayor
now.
Jenny Wilson, Salt Lake County, and you're well aware that the jail is a Salt Lake County facility. It's run by our sheriff, and we work collaboratively on a daily basis on the issues surrounding the jail, and appreciate the partnership. I'll tell you, as a mayor, when you get the phone call that there's an incident, wherever it may be, your heart races a little, and it did certainly this morning when I looked at the text from the sheriff. And within minutes, I was reassured that it looked very good, that we didn't have extensive harm to our inmates, which of course is always our first concern. We're concerned about the loss of life in any situation. I immediately learned through a call to the sheriff in a quick briefing that things were stable, and that, of course, South Salt Lake was on scene and responding and was receiving backup from other fire jurisdictions, which we appreciate as well. I'll tell you, the amount of investment that we make at Salt Lake County and with our partners, our cities and other entities to train, to prepare, is what led to this incredible outcome today. It could have been much worse. It wasn't, because everyone responded quickly, appropriately, and frankly, our communication was very strong. And I think that's really critical, especially when you look at multiple agencies responding. So I have the deepest thanks to the men and women who are serving South Salt Lake's fire department, and then, of course, the men and women who work in corrections, and for the sheriff for the excellent response. As the sheriff pointed out, it's always important that we debrief and see, first and foremost, stabilizing the situation, making sure that the jail will be restored and we can get the HVAC system repair up and running again. Those are important things to do. But we also need to take these moments to reflect on what we can do better. That, as she mentioned, that's going to happen in the days to come. But initial indications are that this was managed incredibly quickly, with no major injuries and very, very little impact to the operation. So again,
you're listening to a live news conference out of South Salt Lake, the Salt Lake County Jail right now, where we've learned there were no injuries after a fire at the county jail. All of the inmates were moved safely from where they were in the jail to a different unit within the jail, so they were never outside of the building. They had to put booking on hold for about 2 hours while crews were dealing with the fire and the situation there. Things have been declared safe to go back inside now, and they believe it all started where maintenance was being done on the heating and ventilation system. But again, the good news there, nobody was hurt by that fire. KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera will have more information in a live report on Jeff Kaplan's afternoon news at 3 o'clock. Stay with us. We'll be back with more in just 60 seconds.
Comcast Business is celebrating Small Business Month by giving you a $1,000 small business bonus when you switch to a qualifying gig speed package from the company with over 99.99% network reliability. Just imagine the thousands of possibilities of a $1,000 prepaid card. Like possibility number 1, company merch for staff. Styling. Or possibility number 24, the latest software. Upgrade. Or possibility number 192, new equipment powered by gig speeds. Or possibility number 555, a 3D printer. Rapid prototyping, anyone? Switch to Comcast Business for over 99.99% network reliability, advanced cybersecurity, and now get started with a $1,000 small business bonus. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
In 6/22/25, new customers only with 2-year agreement. Other restrictions apply.
In other news, families who lean on the Utah Fits All Scholarship Program for homeschooling and private school costs are now waiting on pins and needles. The new manager of the program has asked everyone to resubmit their applications, and now they don't know if they'll have the money they need to send their kids to their preferred schools this fall. KSL News Radio's Adam Small is following the story.
Last week, families who applied for this upcoming school year were supposed to find out whether or not their kids were going to get a scholarship. That was until the program transitioned to a new management company, Odyssey, who recently posted on their website that they're rerunning this year's application cycle due to what they claim was incomplete and inconsistent information provided to them by the previous scholarship manager, ACE. Odyssey says the decision is to, quote, ensure accuracy, consistency, and compliance with the Utah Fits All law. Right now, there is no timetable on when this year's scholarships will be awarded. The future of the scholarships as a whole are still up in the air, too, after a Utah judge recently ruled the program is unconstitutional, but they are allowing it to continue while the state appeals the ruling.
Students can get between $4,000 and $8,000 through this program. We will continue to follow the story as the case plays out and as parents wait for answers. Roughly a quarter of students attending Utah State University receive federal financial aid, making the Aggies one of the colleges with the highest rate of student aid participation. That is according to a new study from the Kim C. Gardner Institute. 25.7% of students at USU received Pell Grants in the 2022-23 academic year. The Pell Grant is a federally funded program aimed at helping students from low-income households. The federal budget bill working its way through Congress right now has some worried that federal financial aid could also see cuts. Katie Jo North is the Vice President of Strategic Enrollment Management at Utah State. She tells KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis that they're tracking the movements at the federal level to see how they could affect students.
The fact that administration is looking and interested and we're absolutely, when you say is there concern, absolutely. It's affecting our students, right? And we're always looking at things that concern our students, and finances is the number one reason that students don't continue on. And so those are major conversations that have and will continue to have at Utah State to help students prepare to come.
North says there are added financial concerns for the university due to that projection of lower enrollment.
In the state of Utah, there's this enrollment cliff that's coming, right, where there's less students that are graduating to go to college. But in Utah, we have kind of another layer of less students are going to college. So even those that are graduating, there's a decreased college going rate. So when you layer those two things upon each other, we have less students going to school. And so, and the number one reason for that is usually financial, right? And so whether it's that they can't afford it or there's not enough scholarships or those types of things, and this Pell Grant and federal aid is a huge piece of that. So I'm not trying to make it sound like it's not a concern. It's a very big concern, right? We just, there's going to be a lot of conversations that take place with it because the financial piece is such a impactful thing on a student's journey to graduate.
North says the proposals she's seen don't get rid of federal funding for students, but they do contain changes to things like the required number of credits in order to qualify.
The last version I saw talked about more adjustments, like students had to have a certain credit requirement or those types of things. Rather than it being cut off, it was more of changes made to the requirements of it that might impact students. So for example, the last bill said something about like having to be, normally full-time students are 12 credits. Well, this bill would say you have to be 15 credits, which could be a financial difference for students, right, in the number of credits. Or you have to have a certain number of credits. It used to be anybody could number of credits, and now it's like you have to have at least 8 credits. So it's more of adjustments that I have seen on the requirements of it, not necessarily that it's going away, or I don't know a lot of those details.
She says adding things like work requirements could throw off the balance for students who receive financial aid and who are also already working.
A lot of times our neediest students are usually working as well, right, to make this work. And so balancing work and school has always been a challenge for our students. And the more they work, the less school they can do. And so sometimes students are working full-time and going to school part-time or vice versa. But balancing that is always a tricky spot, and a lot of our needy students need to work as well. And Utah State, for example, our land grant mission is to serve the state of Utah. So we have students all over the state. A lot of our statewide campuses have part-time students because they're full-time working adults, right? And so what we have concerns with is like that there are still students that are working full-time and going to school part-time, and could this affect them? Like there's a lot of those types of conversations that we're trying to quantify and see how that would affect, our mission as an access mission to Utah.
North says in the end, the university will continue trying to make college more affordable and accessible for all Utahns. Authorities say 75% of crashes involving a semi are caused by passenger cars. The message from truck drivers for everyday Utahns coming up next. But first, it's KSL Traffic brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Ricky?
Crews in Utah County are clearing up a crash and opening up lanes once again on Lehigh Main Street. This accident was just west of I-15 at 850 East, and we still have the final clearing of a crash southbound I-15 after 72nd South in Midvale, and that's still causing backups into Murray. Celebrate freedom in Paris, Idaho. 4th of July Chuck Wagon Breakfast and Parade. On the 5th, a 5K run. Junior Rodeo, Craft Vendor Fair, and free concert. Visit bearlake.org for details. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Imagine waking up every morning with a smile you're proud of. No more hiding, no more pain. Stubbs Dental Implant Center, Utah's Best of State winner for 3 years in a row, has helped thousands of people ditch the dentures and say goodbye to missing or broken teeth. Their expert team specializes in giving you a permanent, natural-looking smile with dental implants that feel and function just like real teeth. With over 2,000 five-star Google reviews, their patients say it best.
Dental implants gave me my life back. I feel confident again. I feel like I can be myself.
There was no way I was getting dentures. Getting dental implants from Stubbs Dental has been the best decision of my life.
Let the expert team at Stubbs Dental help you take the first step to changing your life with dental implants. Schedule your complimentary consultation today, a $350 value, absolutely free. Visit StubbsDental.com today. That's StubbsDental.com. StubbsDental.com.
Hey, it's Brian with Olson's Greenhouse. In today's busy world, your home should be your sanctuary, a peaceful retreat where you can unwind, breathe deeply, and recharge. And what better way to create that haven than with flowers? A pop of color in your flower beds, a cheerful container garden by the front door, or a lush patio filled with vibrant blooms can transform any space into a personal oasis. Flowers don't just brighten up your home, they lift your spirits too. Research even shows that surrounding yourself with plants can reduce stress and boost happiness. At Olson's Greenhouse, we grow premium quality plants that make it easy to bring beauty and joy into your life. Whether you prefer bold, eye-catching colors or soft, soothing pastels, we have the perfect flowers to complement your space. And with locally grown plants, you know they're ready to thrive. This spring, create a sanctuary of color and comfort with flowers from Olson's Greenhouse. Find us on Instagram at Olson's Greenhouse Gardens or go to OGG.com to find a retailer near you. That's OGG.com for Olson's Greenhouse Gardens.
An emergency can happen any second. Here's a few seconds to think about where you'd go. When you need medical care fast, the closest emergency room is a smart thing to know. Common Spirit Health ERs are your direct path between feeling scared or uncomfortable and feeling better. Find emergency care in your neighborhood at mountain.commonspirit.org.
Behold, 'tis I, Queen Trustworth, sentinel for seniors amongst the Knights of Scamelot, here to give thee warning. Scams and fraud are on the rise in Utah, and seniors are especially under siege. Be wary of unsolicited texts, phone calls, and salespeople asking for personal or financial information, and never send money to someone thou hast only met online. If thou hast doubts, talk to someone thou trusteth and get educated at scams.utah.gov.
Progressive knows when you're on your boat, you're already on vacation. And Vacation You forgets all your worries. Vacation You doesn't even keep track of time and knows that time is a meaningless construct designed to control us, man. But Regular You knows you don't want to be too far out in the water after the sun goes down because Vacation You doesn't know how to navigate in the dark yet. Vacation You and Regular You really need to get on the same page. So bundle your boat with your home or auto policy and earn an automatic discount from Progressive. And spend the savings on the both of you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
If you're like many Americans, you don't particularly like driving right next to a big truck. They tend to make people nervous, and that can lead to poor decisions on the road. UDOT says in 75% of semi-truck involved crashes, the passenger car is at fault. Now, they're teaming up with Walmart to try and educate drivers on how to be around big rigs in as safe a manner as possible. Grantsville resident Mike Styka drives for Walmart. He tells KSL5 TV's Brian Carlson that semi-trucks naturally come with a lot of blind spots, making it more difficult for truck drivers to know if there are smaller cars around them.
As you pass a truck, there's a lot of blind spots there. that we can't see it. Even though we have great mirrors and a lot of tools, there's places that's around us that we can't see. And you have to be very careful when you're passing or around a truck.
Sitka says he sees way too many drivers being careless on the road, usually not paying attention when they're around semis.
I see it every day. And it makes me feel bad because people are taking their lives and the lives of their family in their hands. And when you see careless things like that happen, it's hard. You're disappointed. And so what I do, I try to kind of look in the crystal ball and say, what is the worst thing this driver could do? And then I plan my day around it. Plan every situation around it.
He says the biggest thing he wishes drivers would do is give big rigs a little more room on the road. He also wants drivers to be a little more patient with truck drivers, saying they're not stupid. A semi-truck just operates a lot differently than a passenger car.
First, maybe we need to back up a little bit. A truck, we can't accelerate, we can't brake, we can't handle a situation like a car can. It's physically impossible. So when someone pulls in front of us and hits the brakes, or they see us in a situation where we have to take more room than they think we should, and then they get angry because they think we don't know what we're doing. Well, the truth of it is we do know what we're doing, and it takes a certain amount of room or a certain way to drive to get us safely through a situation. And that makes me feel bad. People need to just have patience with this. I don't see enough of that.
If you end up coming up on a semi when out on Utah's freeways, Sitka has one message for you, the same message he tells his family.
Don't spend time around truck going down the freeway, because we can blow a tire out. We might have an emergency thing where we have to change lanes, and just stay away. I don't do it when I drive down the road when I'm in my automobile, because I know what these things can do, and I don't spend any time around them. You get around them or you follow them. Most people will get around, but wait for an opening, get around, and then go on, and that's the safe way to do it.
UDOT has a few other reminders to stay safe around big rigs. Remember, if you can't see the driver, he can't see you. Make sure you see both headlights of the truck in your rearview mirror before you merge in front of a semi, and always give a truck more space than you think they need. It's 2:30 p.m. midday at KSL News Radio. Hello, I'm Becky Bruce. Some of the stories we're watching this hour: President Trump ordering an investigation into President Biden's health, the roadblocks women face as they try to get ahead, and KSL traffic. Ricky?
Crash is cleared southbound I-15 in Midvale, but the delays linger back through Murray. Becky?
And right now, we're looking at a pretty pleasant day out there. We're headed up to a high of about 81 degrees, 83 for tomorrow. Right now, you've got partly cloudy skies in Salt Lake City and 77 degrees. Ogden is 76 and fair. Provo, sunny and 79 degrees. Our top national stories.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. A new travel ban set to go into effect next week. President Trump issuing full and partial bans on 19 countries, he says, due to the recent Boulder firebomb attack as the reason. ABC's Karen Travers has more.
The president was asked specifically why Egypt was not included, because in the video he released last night, he cited the Boulder, Colorado attack as a reason why he's moving forward on this right now. That was, of course, the suspect in that attack was an Egyptian man who had overstayed his visa. The president said Egypt is a country that the United States deals with very closely. He said they have things under control, and the countries that are on the list do not.
In an unprecedented move, Secretary of State Marco Rubio announcing the U.S. would sanction 4 International Criminal Court judges. He says we're, quote, directly engaged in efforts by the ICC to investigate, arrest, detain, and prosecute nationals of the U.S. and Israel. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story. Developing news. We're learning in the last half an hour that a fire at the Salt Lake County Jail is now out after 200 inmates were evacuated.
They all were still in the jail, just moved to other units. So that's what's occurring right now is we are evaluating the situation, and we have 3 of the units are back up and running. We have 1 unit down, and all of the prisoners have been moved that need to be moved.
Salt Lake County Sheriff Rosie Rivera there, she says no one was hurt, and they are continuing with normal operations at the jail. The Springville Police Department is warning residents about a scam involving a text message supposedly coming from the Utah Department of Motor Vehicles. The message warns of a final notice about an unpaid traffic ticket. The text claims the person is in violation of a California administrative code, which officers say should be a very large red flag since Utah, of course, would not be subject to California laws. Drivers in Weber Canyon will need to be prepared for lane closures in both directions for the next 2 years. KSL News Radio's Heather Kelly has more.
The closures are so crews can repair the Union Pacific Railroad bridges, which cross over I-84 about 2 miles into the canyon from Ogden. UDOT spokesman Mitchell Shaw tells the Standard Examiner there are lane restrictions heading eastbound through next summer. Then crews will start working on the westbound side of I-84 into 2027.
More information about the Weber Canyon Bridge project can be found on UDOT's website. Other local stories. KSL is following. Another June means another year of stolen pride flags for one Salt Lake City church. KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla reports.
Pastor Curtis Price with First Baptist Church says it happens every year.
It feels like a violation. It is a little scary because you don't never know if it's going to escalate into something.
Still, Price says it's not shocking. He describes Pride as an important time for them, saying they are a welcoming and affirming congregation, and it's especially important for them to display Pride flags now, just months after the state's new legislation banning them from being flown in government-owned buildings was put in place.
The flags were quickly replaced by Project Rainbow. Your money at this moment, the Dow ends the day in negative territory, but ever just so slightly. Down 108 points, or about 0.25%. S&P 500 is down 32 points, and the NASDAQ is down 162. Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Let's check back in with Ricky Meese.
We do have delays. This is in Salt Lake County, southbound I-15 between 53rd South Murray to just past 7200 South in Midvale, and that's really a choke point as traffic merges onto the freeway. And then southbound I-15 in Weber County, a little busy and maybe not quite running at the posted limit, but you're moving, going from Roy to Sunset. Whipple Service Champions, your cooling, heating, plumbing, drains, and electrical specialist. Whipple that away. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
A few clouds overnight tonight with a low of about 59 degrees. Tomorrow, mostly sunny with a high of 83. Right now, 76 degrees and fair in Ogden. It's 77 and partly cloudy in the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Join Mike Stevens of Capital Wealth Advisors for Retire Right Radio, Saturdays at 5 a.m. and 9 p.m. That's Retire Right Radio with Mike Stevens, Saturdays at 5 a.m. and 9 p.m.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Are you struggling with pain in your feet, ankles, knees, hips, or lower back? At the Good Feet store, we recommend having high-quality support in all of your shoes. Our personalized arch support system has helped countless people find relief, like Karen. Here is her Good Feet story.
After I decided my pain was too much, and my doctor actually suggested that I do visit the Good Feet store. Pretty amazing when they put the arch supports in your shoe and you walk around and you realize there's not pain, and you think, how can this arch support in my shoe make my back pain go away? But it works. And how can it make my knee pain go away? It was incredible.
Come to the Good Feet store today and see what we can do for you. Good Feet arch supports are in stock and available in over 300 different styles and sizes.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Stop in today at the Good Feet store.
A
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call the tax professionals at Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
You're listening to Midday. I'm Becky Bruce. Maria Shilaos has the day off. President Trump ordering an investigation into President Biden's declining mental health during the end of his presidency. Trump directing the counsel to the president, along with the attorney general, to see if the people who worked around President Biden, quote, conspired to deceive the public about Biden's mental state. To help us dig into this, we're joined live by White House reporter Brett Samuels of The Hill. Brett, thanks for joining me. What's the motivation for this investigation?
Yeah, thanks for having me. You know, it's hard not to see sort of the political motivations, I think, behind launching this investigation. Obviously, President Trump and Republicans continue to hold up former President Biden as sort of a political foil. They continue to attack him. And certainly I think it's to their benefit to keep the focus, if they can, on the previous administration and some of the questions about the previous administration, even if former President Biden and his aides have repeatedly pushed back on this idea that Biden was not the one in charge. But, certainly I think it's beneficial politically for Trump and his allies to keep Biden and these questions about Biden in the spotlight.
Remind us about the auto pen at play in some of this discussion. What exactly is that auto pen, and is it common for presidents to use?
Yeah, so the auto pen has become sort of this subject of fascination, particularly for President Trump. Essentially what it is it's a tool that presidents have been able to use to sign their name to presidential actions or sign their name on legislation, to save time, to make things easier to process government documents, instead of, hand signing all of these different documents and proclamations and so on. And it's become a huge fixation and sort of point of debate for President Trump, who essentially has tried to make the case that, if these documents were signed using the auto pen and it wasn't President Biden himself signing the documents, then there must be some nefarious reason for it, and it's evidence that Biden was not actually the one sort of carrying out these decisions in his final months in office. But, the auto pen has been used by multiple presidents. Courts have upheld it as a legitimate way to sign off on documents. So, certainly the use of an auto pen itself is not disqualifying in any way or doesn't itself signal any kind of wrongdoing or conspiracy. But certainly it's been a point of contention for Trump as he tries to make the case that Biden was not fit while he was in office.
We have a colleague here in the building who would say anytime you're wondering whether something is unprecedented, it's probably precedented. So I'm wondering what you know about past administrations and complaints or concerns about whether they were really in charge.
Yeah, certainly. I think to that point, President Biden or former President Biden is not the first individual, in the history of the country who, after leaving office, there were questions about their mental fitness or their ability to carry out the job. Certainly, you go back quite a ways, and even, Woodrow Wilson, there were questions about, by the end of his term, whether he was really, doing the job of the presidency. And certainly President Trump faced questions on the campaign trail, given his own age, about whether he would be sort of fit to serve by the end of his term. If he won in November, which of course he did, but certainly with President Biden, just given the drama around his decision to seek re-election and then drop out of the campaign last July, that has just put a greater emphasis on these questions, I think, as the Democratic Party kind of continues to sort through the fallout of that.
Have we heard anything yet from President Biden about all of these allegations?
Yeah, so President Biden actually issued a statement of his own in response to this order by Trump ordering this investigation. President Biden issued a statement pushing back pretty strongly on it, saying that he was the one who was making the decisions, and that any claims to the contrary are false or ridiculous. And he tried to paint this essentially as a distraction from Republicans and their efforts to pass this big reconciliation bill, which of course contains a lot of their priorities, extending tax cuts, potential changes to Medicare, increased border enforcement. Biden essentially making the case that, directing focus to him is an attempt to distract from what's happening with that bill. So, certainly I think notable that the former president himself, put his name on a statement in response to this, and a sign, I think, that, former President Biden and his team really wanted to push back pretty strongly on this as these sort of claims continue to circulate.
Brett, now that this ball is rolling, what happens next?
Yeah, so the order, the proclamation that President Trump signed directs the counsel to the president to coordinate with the attorney general and other cabinet officials to essentially, pursue this investigation into whether there was this alleged cover-up by Biden aides and whether he was the one sort of carrying out these actions. So certainly I think this will sort of simmer in the background, but at the same time you have House Republicans who are calling former Biden administration officials to testify about Biden's mental state while he was in office. The Justice Department is reviewing pardons that were doled out by then President Biden for their sort of legitimacy. So certainly I think, this is something that's going to remain in the spotlight because Republicans want to keep it there, and they think it's sort of to their benefit to continue to kind of raise these questions about former President Biden and his mental fitness.
Thanks so much. The Hill's White House reporter, Brett Samuels, thank you for breaking down all of that. We're certainly going to keep watching what goes on. Midday continues in just 60 seconds.
Pantheon Clinical Research is conducting a clinical study for children and teens. Is your child struggling with bipolar depression? If your child is between 10 and 17 years old and experiencing symptoms of depression associated with bipolar disorder, such as persistent sadness, loss of interest in activities, trouble sleeping, low energy, difficulty concentrating, or even suicidal thoughts, Pantheon Clinical Research may be able to help. We are ready to take your call anytime. Call our phone lines at Pantheon Clinical Research at 385-281-0550. That's 385-281-0550. We're conducting a no-cost clinical study for children and teens facing bipolar depression. Participants will receive study-related care, medical tests, and investigational treatment from a dedicated medical team, all at no cost and with no health insurance required. Call Pantheon Clinical Research today at 385-281-0550. That's 385-281-0550, or visit our website at pantheonclinical.com to learn more. Hope starts here.
The KSL News Radio Movie Show comes to My Hearing Centers Friday from 10 to 1. But first, discover what My Hearing Centers can do for you. My Hearing Centers uses advanced technology to diagnose and treat hearing loss. These comprehensive evaluations determine the best treatment options. Then enjoy lifetime support with regular check-ins, cleaning, and maintenance. Call My Hearing Centers at 801-701-1629. 801-701-1629 for more details. My Hearing Centers has offices from Ogden to St. George.
The cost of beef and other forms of meat is going up again. ABC's Eva Pilgrim is tracking the prices and says these price hikes are making life difficult for many U.S. families.
Just in time as we fire up the barbecue, the price of that burger is up and it's only expected to go higher. The reason beef prices are climbing, we just don't have the cows. Cattle numbers are at a multi-decade low, so this is a basic supply and demand issue. Just like we learned in school, we have more demand and limited supply. Prices go up, and that's exactly what we've seen. When you look at prices this past May compared to May of 2024, fresh ground beef, $7.34, up 10.4% from a year ago. Beef roast, $7.57, up 10.9% from a year ago. Ribs, more than $7, up more than 8% from a year ago. Steaks, the list goes on and on. $10.89, up 8.4%. And it's not just beef that's going to cost you more. Combo packs of chicken, $3.17. That's up a whopping 27.2%. So if you're trying to stretch your dollar, buy bulk and freeze it. Hopefully you have space in your freezer.
Eva says Sam's Club is trying to grab some attention and new members, while more people are looking to buy in bulk to save money.
This is really interesting. So they have a deal right now that it costs $20 for their basic plan. That's down from the usual $50. And the Plus membership will run you $60. It's normally $110, but act fast because these prices only last until June 16th.
The one meat that is not jumping up in price right now is pork, which Eva says makes pork products a good choice for families this summer. After the break, how women are supporting each other and removing barriers to advancement. But first, it's KSL Traffic, brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Ricky?
We are already seeing slowdowns set in on I-15 on the northbound side. It goes from 2100 south to 1300 south. Maybe not stop-and-go delays, but crowded and not running at the freeway limit. And then southbound I-15 getting really bogged down already as you go from 53rd south down to Midvale, passing the South Interchange. The Garden Restaurant is opening June 30th in Salt Lake City. Enjoy a fresh, healthy menu. Opening soon, June 30th, Monday through Friday, 11 to 3. Fresh flavors, iconic location, the Garden Restaurant. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and if you have a drain that's clogged or backed up, after you've tried the plungers and products, the next step usually involves some kind of drain snake or cabling equipment. You see, sometimes the blockage is far enough down the line that you need special equipment that most homeowners just don't have. That's where the Drains Department at Any Hour Services can help. A drain snake can clear most blockages and get the water flowing again, and clearing blocked drains is what our Drains Department does day in and day out. So if you're a homeowner with a drain line that's clogged or backed up and you'd like one of our drain technicians to come and snake the line for you, it's only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
More than 50 million Americans suffer from a form of mental illness, and Utah isn't immune.
With nearly 1 in 3 people dealing with anxiety, depression, or some other form of mental illness.
But there's hope. We can all take action to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe. KSL has teamed with 988 Utah, the free suicide and crisis lifeline, to bring you hope and help you thrive.
If you or a loved one is experiencing a mental health crisis, call or text 988.
Because a healthy mind matters.
This week's movie show brought to you by My Hearing Center. Schedule a hearing evaluation and be entered to win a set of premium hearing aids by tuning in Friday from 10 to 1.
The Utah RV Palooza is ready for another round of RV savings. But this time, we're hooking you up, South Salt Lake County. June 5th through the 7th, we're bringing our packed inventory of new and used RVs to you on Harriman Main Street, just south of Winco. Shop all the best RV brands fit for any budget and all at show pricing. You'll find payments starting under $139 per month on approved credit on select new RVs and clearance pricing on all remaining new 2024s while they last. You'll also get 90 days of all play and no pay OAC. Start shopping the best deals now at UtahRVPalooza.com. And it's the only show featuring the full lineup from Wayfinder RV, available exclusively through Bish's. Plus, every RV purchase receives a free 1-year RV Fix membership, your fast track to RV service repairs. All this plus free admission to the Utah RV Palooza, June 5th through the 7th on Harriman Main Street, just south of Winco. See you in Harriman.
Based on approved credit, 20% down, 8.99% APR for 180 months. Stock number 89922. Subject to prior sale. See dealer for details. Deal number 822B426B.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Pro Paint Days are back at Lowe's, and My Lowe's Pro Rewards members can save even more with limited time deals. Right now, buy one, get one half off select HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams primer and ceiling paint. Plus, get free same-day delivery to your job site when you order by 2 p.m. Offer valid through 6/13, delivery by 8 p.m., subject to driver availability. Additional terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy.
and founder of Wesley Financial Group, and I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney, and the truth is I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney or if I look like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. At Wesley, we've helped over 40,000 families cancel their timeshare without me being an attorney. And I want to share with you how we do it. Just give my office a call, and you will not talk to an attorney. And I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare, or you'll pay nothing.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. 800-746-3737. 800-746-3737. 800-746-3737.
This is Midday. I'm Becky Bruce. Child care continues to be a huge barrier to women's advancement in the state. That's according to the latest research from the Utah Women and Leadership Project. Founding director Dr. Susan Madsen tells KSL's Verl Johansson they held focus groups in every county over a period of years in the state to find out how to strengthen girls and women and what the roadblocks are.
And so what we did for this comprehensive report was to look across all of the reports and really pull out what are Utahns saying all across the state of Utah in what needs to be done to make sure that girls and women and their families thrive.
Dr. Madsen says a common theme emerged right away.
People are just struggling, no matter what county they're in, with options for affordable, quality, accessible childcare. So that was our number one.
She said Utah women need men to help address those big issues.
Women are the ones that tend to go to conversations about girls and women, when in reality, we need men and women, because men often have daughters and granddaughters too, and so this impacts everyone. But we need to make sure that men feel included and that they learn how to be allies so they can use their voices in this space too.
Dr. Madsen says the focus group discussions also focused on needing more help from the business community and from local and state government.
At the local level, because these are local discussions, they were really interested in having more conversations where different sectors, the business sector comes together with political leaders in the area, with government, with nonprofits and so forth, to really talk about and wrestle with the issues in the areas. Many of them talked about legislation that needs to be done at the state level. But a lot of them were in the discussions, honestly, we're not sure what to do, because some of the counties have been encouraging towards trying to get people, especially women, to start child care businesses, and many people just understand that child care, the business of child care these days, is what's called a market failure, and that just means you can't really make money. You charge not as much as you need to charge, but it's so expensive for families, right? But then many of the child care workers many of them are just not making a livable wage. And so to be able to not have it be a market failure in general, you have to have some entity, and typically it's government, that invests in child care. And so those kinds of conversations definitely came up. How do we, motivate people? How do we find different incentives and have people feel like they want to go into that field? There's a lot of people that do want to go into that field, but more and more it's not respected, and it's just a hard field to be in. Yet, aren't children our most important resource that we have in our state? And so it's a complex issue.
Dr. Madsen says families got a bit of a break on the cost of child care during the pandemic when states got federal funding to help pay for child care. That funding, of course, is no longer available. For the second year in a row, the NHL is providing the Stanley Cup Finals with an American Sign Language broadcast option. Division of Services for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing Director Lance Pickett and his interpreter Sam Jackson joined me earlier. I asked Pickett, what does having this broadcast option mean for the community?
I think it's amazing. I mean, if you think about what sports mean to people all over, it's really a whole involvement of different things with our sporting events. And it's very a high emotional aspect. It's highs and lows to see all the types of experiences that the deaf community can now be a part of in our own language. So we're really excited to see it.
I'm excited too. I have hearing aids, so I really appreciate closed captioning. And I know there are plenty of people I know who love hockey and use American Sign Language on a regular basis. How do people feel knowing they can now watch that in their own words?
I think that everyone is feeling validated by this, to know that deafness is on a spectrum. We have people who speak who are deaf, we have people who sign, and everyone in between. It's based on different things like hearing aids, cochlear implants, sign language. There's lots of different factors that we see, but these commentators, these people won't have to rely on captioning. They can see everything in their own language as well as what's going on without needing to split their attention to read the captions instead of missing what's happening on the ice. So we're able to see directly from these commentators the tones, the facial expressions, the comedy, what's serious, without missing anything, and really able to see it for the first time. So that's exciting for our language.
Yeah, and the closed captioning does come with a flaw, of course, that it's not in real time. So this will be in real time. That's exciting. Are there other sports we're going to expect to see picking up more American Sign Language options?
That's the hope. So far, this is really the only of its kind. We've had short events that are kind of one-off, where we're hoping to get more with the NFL, the NBA, who have brought children to sign small portions, but it's only a tiny bit of the sporting experience with those one-off events. So this is the high bar that we're seeing from the NHL, that they're making a place for us to belong and feel seen, and saying that sports are for me as well. So that's really great.
Do you have
to see that high standard of sports that hopefully more will follow too.
Do you have a favorite team?
Yes. Utah Jazz is my favorite sporting team. In the NHL, I have not watched much, so I'm going to start.
Jeff, for context there, the voice you were hearing was actually the interpreter, Sam Jackson. Lance Pickett, the Division of Services for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing Director, was actually using ASL for that entire conversation. This is going to be a game changer for people with hearing loss.
Certainly. I mean, that was an interesting conversation. I did not realize.
Yeah, I didn't either. I have a good friend whose daughter uses ASL regularly, and I have a feeling they're about to become big hockey fans. Thank you so much for joining me today on Midday. Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News coming up next.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Good afternoon, 3 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Jeff Kaplan. 77 degrees, partly cloudy. KSL's top story. Fire flared this morning at the Salt Lake County Jail. It forced a large emergency response. Inmates had to be evacuated. KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera is live with what happened to what's next. Eric?
Jeff, we just heard from Sheriff Rosie Rivera.